Yes, Center folks around the world, we are here. It took 10 years, 18 movies, but damn it, we're here.
We're finally here.
We're finally here.
We finally made it. It's at this point. It's taken forever to get to this point.
You know, and when you first start to watch the movies, I think you mentioned this the other day, like it's hard to get through the first 4.
Yeah.
But once you get past that, you know, the first Avengers movie, shit just starts to be so dope and smooth. You know, it's just.
You know what? They got the formula is what happens. Like, especially in that phase 3. After a while, they were like, you know what? That sweet spot's that 2-hour spot. And we're going to make sure that everybody just enjoys it and it's going to flow really well. I mean, really, I love phase 3. Like, it's so smooth.
Well, people, welcome back to Classics, the cinematic movie podcast that takes you back to the iconic films of 20 years ago, right here on iHeartRadio. But we're not talking the past today. Well, we kind of are. But we're talking more so the past, present, and the future, if you will. We're finally here, breaking down the MCU. I am Jay Alonzo with my guy.
And I'm Danger David Neff.
Danger David. Okay. And we have guests. Family, if you will. No, family. I love these fucking guys. Please welcome the boys from the Noize, Hollywood Kev, Big Los. What's up, y'all?
What's up? What's up?
I just realized that Boys from the Noize sound like a Magic Mike type of review.
Only you would bring that type of shit.
I'm just saying, it's what it sounds
That's because
like.
he's secretly a dancer. He ain't told nobody.
Yeah,
No, I told him on the show.
Nigga say his name is Water Moccasin.
Doesn't he still train him, from what I hear?
Yeah, I think, isn't he in the show?
No, he produces the show, but he's not in the show now.
No, Los, I said that you train. Like,
Oh, me.
Water Moccasin, yeah.
I thought we were talking about the actual dude that was in it, Channing Tatum. Anyway, yes, exactly.
Coming to the stage.
I'm the only black
Coffee
guy
cake.
on the show, and I don't get that much respect. You know, I think it's the stomach, but you know, it's all good. So I'm making my way up.
Fellas, what's going on, man? Like, so we decided to do this show to break down the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Nobody thought it would kick off the way it did, and we get to this point. So before we actually break down the movies, do you have a favorite of the 18, Kev?
Probably the first Avengers.
Yeah.
it's rock solid.
Yeah, I think probably the first. Like I still can watch that and am just excited like it just came out.
Los, what you got?
I'm biased. Black Panther.
Okay.
Just being honest.
Neff, what you got?
It's going to be Winter Soldier for me.
Nice.
And what about you, Jay?
I want to be biased and say Black Panther, but Los took that answer. So I'm going to be more so realistic. You know, I do love Black Panther. It's the best of the movies. But I can't forget the first time I saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah, no.
Of a property I knew absolutely nothing about.
No one really did, except like the true,
the
Marvel
true,
heads.
comic heads. And when I saw it, I'm like, this movie's dope. I mean, who would think a movie about a talking tree, a badass raccoon, this was Marvel's like space opera.
It was.
I was instantly like hooked on it. 2, it was all right. But the first time seeing Guardians of the Galaxy, I was hooked, instantly hooked.
No, I feel you, man. No, Guardians is one of those movies, and we're going to talk more about it, but Guardians is one of those movies that it was the first time that they really took a weird step in that direction. And I think you're going to see more of that here in the future, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you guys ready?
Infinity War comes out Friday.
It does.
By the time you hear this show, it would be out.
Yeah.
Is Howard the Duck going to be in it?
I don't know, but I figure with 85 comic book characters in this, I mean, let's squeeze Howard the Duck in there somewhere, So let's kick this thing off with the movie that.
Should we say Beat Network Assemble?
I'm not going to say it, but
But if that's what you choose, cool.
if somebody wants to just throw it in there.
That's why. You know what? I just threw it in. There you go.
Boom.
Beat
Here we
Network
go.
Assemble.
So let's kick this
It
thing
was so
off.
like light that I feel like when you say Beat Network
Beat
Assemble.
Network Assemble.
There we go. Those are steps.
All like 12
That's
of
the
us running.
quickest steps ever.
It's a shuffle, goddamn it.
And that's truth in case he has running real fast and shit.
Exactly.
But let's kick it off with the first movie to launch the MCU. People didn't even think that this would work, like, at all. When they first announced it, like, RDJ's playing Iron Man?
Well, when was the last time you saw RDJ in something truly amazing?
On CNN.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, on CNN.
In the orange jumpsuit.
In the orange jumpsuit.
Sleeping in the baby's pool or something like that, you know? But
Every drug you can
It
think
seemed
of.
like he had some wild parties.
I mean, some off the chain
They
wild
had
parties.
to be dope.
Who do you think had better parties?
Him or Charlie Sheen.
That exactly.
See, Charlie
he
Sheen.
knows.
See,
That's because we got the noise connect. We be knowing, man.
It's there.
but no, the thing with Charlie Sheen is like Charlie Sheen ends with the HIV, the HIV. You know, we don't.
So does that mean Charlie wins?
I mean,
Did you call
Look,
it the
it's a
HIV?
hit, but
With the
it also includes Tiger's blood, though.
yeah, but at least with RDJ, we didn't hear about any kind of like
We didn't hear
Right.
about the HIV.
with the HIV.
But that's
you
how
know?
dope Sheen
he
is.
partied hard.
He's able to name everything that he started to do.
And he did take a bump of coke off a chick's ass cheek.
RDJ or Charlie.
RDJ may have too.
He probably had. He probably had. But Iron Man kicks off the MCU. We didn't think that there would be an Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, or a series of films to follow with one cohesive storyline, right? Mm-hmm. So, Neff, when you first seen Iron Man, your first immediate impression?
Well, walking into the movie, I had no idea what to expect. You know, being probably the fellow comic book nerd here, I didn't know where they were going to go. I didn't know what storyline they were going to do. And it was so brand new to us because the last comic book movie that we had was Ang Lee's Hulk, and it was like, man, we don't
count the Hulk.
That was
That was
terrible.
from Eric Banner, right? That's not.
that was
we don't
bad.
count the Hulk.
But no, man, like
You gotta count one of them actually. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but
the Incredible Hulk, yeah, but not where the Hulk is the same size as the Stratosphere. No, that
Right.
makes no sense.
But I mean, Iron Man was just phenomenal. You know, everything about it just worked. You know, you had Obadiah Stane, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Bald Jeff Bridges.
You know what's so amazing about it? The scene in it, and it's why he's so a memorable bad guy. When she's over there and she's sneaking the documents to try to do it, and he's just like there, like staying, and you felt the tension in the room, like he could cut with like a butter knife or whatnot. Oh man, Bridges just like sold it for me. I don't know, Kev. What do you think? What do you think of it?
I think the second Iron Man is my favorite. I thought it was dope.
Whoa,
With Mickey Rourke?
what?
Yeah, I
Whoa.
think that
Mickey
one-
Rourke?
I think that
Oh
was probably
man,
my
you're gonna have to
favorite.
sell me on that one.
I think that was. We'll get there. But no, I like the first one. I think it was a good introduction. And like you said, we hadn't seen anything really like that. So I know when I went to the movies, I was just blown away. I was like, this shit is dope, but is that technology real? Because I want to make me a suit like right now.
Right.
So I like that one. But yeah, my favorite Iron Man is probably
It is real, by the way.
It is real. Did you make one?
I wish.
I mean,
I wish.
I mean,
If I was a- if I
besides
was
you
able-
being the training dancer, I mean, do you have an Iron
If
Man
I
suit?
if I was able to make an Iron Man suit, Beat would be something so different.
I feel like a lot of lives would be threatened if you
think
wanted to go about that
easily,
route.
I
I think
Yeah, it's
some
better
of that
list.
technology is there. I think some of that technology is there in real life. We just can't get our hands on it. But
No.
That's a whole different
think-
type of-
Yeah.
Los, for you, RDJ as Tony Stark Iron Man, when he begins to become that character, like convey that character, do you believe that RDJ was like the perfect? What? As of right now, we can't see nobody else playing Iron Man but Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
But when you first saw him at first glance, given his history, baby pools and whatnot, how did you feel he brought that character to life?
Honestly, I knew he was gonna do fantastic at it only because even though he was, let me not slander the man, even though he did every drug you could think of, I'm pretty sure he used to sniff paint. He's never given you a bad role, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you go down his list of movies, even if the movie was trash, you can at least say Robert Downey Jr. did great.
Right.
It was unexpected, but so was Eric Bana as the Hulk. So I feel like Rob did his thing, and I'm gonna have my I like Iron Man 2 moment. I wasn't a fan of Iron Man. He was actually one of my least favorite. Marvel superheroes.
He kind of fell off my whole memory pattern before the movie even came out.
Yeah.
So then
I'm like, that's a real thing?
So I remember when they dropped the commercial, and I remember me and you, we had this exact conversation. And I'm like, this commercial looks dope. And then for it to end with him knocking the missile out, no, with him knocking the missile and then shooting and blowing up the tank.
Right.
Walking
And then
away.
just walking off. I was like,
that was so cheap.
I want to see this. I'm sold. That
that
one
was so
scene,
cheap.
I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sold.
Jay, I got to ask, what's your favorite scene in the movie?
Oh my god. It's so many of them, but I have to say, the ending scene after everything's gone down, and he holds a press conference, and Shield gives him the cue cards of what to say, what happened,
Right.
and then he's looking around the press conference, and he wants to say what's on the cards. He goes, "I am Iron Man," and they just lose their shit, right? And then that coincides with the first time we get Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, which begins the whole
Right.
MCU movement. We didn't know where this was going to go,
Right.
But we know Incredible Hulk was coming up right after this.
Right. And I mean, that's just the beauty of how it, like, right when it started. I would agree. That would be, if we were to review this movie, it would definitely be my iconic scene.
Yes.
That ending scene where he's just there and he finally like says, "No, it makes no sense for me to be Iron Man." But and then at the end of it, he's like, "I am Iron Man," and that for me, that's what kicked it off. It came out with a definite bang. We move on from Iron Man and we get into the much forgotten but sometimes warm in some people's hearts, the Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton.
I feel like it's incredibly underrated.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's just kind of where it's at.
Really?
I think on Rotten Tomatoes it got a 71 or 67%. I said,
Dave's like, it was a movie.
Yeah, it was a movie.
I mean, I saw it.
He was trying to say it was trash without saying it was trash.
Well, I mean,
In my opinion, it's probably the worst one of theirs. For me, it's in the bottom 3.
Did you not see Thor: The Dark World?
I did see Thor: The Dark World, and we will talk about Thor: The Dark World. I promise you that.
Yeah.
But no, I gotta ask Los, your first impressions of Incredible Hulk.
It was a breath of fresh air compared to Hulk.
Okay,
So,
that's fair.
so honestly, I did go into it with a very just let it be better than Hulk mindset. So I enjoyed it. It doesn't have much replay value looking back on it now, though.
Right.
And then, of course, with they just switching out the Hulk completely, like the mother from fucking Family Matters. It's like we weren't supposed to notice that, but I get it. But I like that it still was able to tie into the MCU.
Right.
You know, at the very least, they were able to say we're definitely going to have Hulk in it. It may not be Ed Norton, but we're definitely going to have Hulk in it.
I'm actually kind of glad that we switched out Ed Norton for Ruffalo.
Yeah, no, it's definitely better.
Yeah, Ruffalo's a much better,
much better.
Bruce Banner.
I like Ed Norton, and at that time he was literally one of my favorite actors. But I was like, man, I feel like he's just playing Ed Norton. I don't even feel like he's playing Banner. Like, there's nothing about him that's like really, truly afraid. Because Banner is literally like a split personality. He's like, I'm super afraid of everything that I can do in the world. Whereas this version is like, I'm just trying to get better. Like I'm just trying to be healthy.
I want to get this shit out of me,
that,
actually.
With that mindset, and now this is trying to keep it into the MCU area, but with that mindset, you could technically say the same thing about Robert Downey Jr.
How so? Let me ask.
I mean, when you look at his interviews, he's kind of a pompous asshole.
Yeah.
Much like Tony Stark.
When you look at him,
But
much like Tony
but
Stark.
that is Tony Stark.
He was a British version of Robert Downey Jr. when he did Sherlock Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a crackhead version of Robert Downey Jr. What was the movie where it was like the whole movie was a cartoon almost?
Robert Downey Jr.'s
was Robert
life.
Downey Jr.?
Yeah, it was Robert Downey Jr. Well, I don't think he was a main
His
character.
biopic?
More than likely.
Gotcha.
But no, it was he was a druggie in the movie. It was I can't think of it to save my fucking life right now, but I'll get back to it when I do think of the title. But anyway, you can technically say the same thing. Like when you're playing yourself, shit, Will Smith does it. Will Smith just plays Will Smith and everything's with a different accent.
Well, it's like when I look at I'm just going to say the DC movies, and I look at Aquaman. I'm just like, it's not Aquaman, it's Jason Momoa, man.
Right.
It's just Jason Momoa with some long hair and some scales and a little fucking trident.
Momoa
But
man.
It's Jason Momoa, man. That's all he is. Kev, what's your favorite scene in The Incredible Hulk?
I don't have one.
You don't have one.
Nope, I feel much about the same way you do.
Yeah.
Didn't like it, don't care for it.
I'm about to say, it was a movie.
It was a movie. It was there.
How about this? Would you like to see any character in that come back into a future MCU movie? I mean, Ross maybe.
Well, Thunderbolts, he was in Civil War. So,
Right, of course.
And then, of course, there's Nick Fury.
Right.
And then...
And technically Stan Lee.
Of course. But Stan Lee... Banner, who's no longer played by Norton, now played by Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I like Mark playing it. I like Ruffalo playing it.
Right.
So I have no issues with that.
I think the one thing that I really wanted is that they had a really interesting bad guy set up. Like at the ending scene when the scientist kind of gets a gamma radiation in his brain. That's supposed to be the leader. And the leader is basically like the brainiac of Marvel Universe.
I think with that particular movie, it kind of was a little bit ahead of its time. And the reason being, I'm saying technology-wise. I think if they would have made that movie now, it would work. But back then, the technology was so limited, I feel like they were trying to force something that just wasn't ready at that time.
Right.
I think if they would have put the Hulk out now or any other time period than when they did, it probably would have done a lot better.
Sure.
I think for me, once the Hulk appears in the first Avengers, it's pretty much locked in that we won't see another standalone Hulk movie anytime soon.
Right, yeah.
Like,
I think they've confirmed that. They're not doing that.
Because you do your best to kind of equate the Hulk storyline in pretty much every movie. So with Thor Ragnarok, we'll get to it, but when Thor Ragnarok took on the Planet Hulk storyline, it was like, there's really no need for a standalone Hulk movie.
Right.
He's so amazing as a side character that it's tough to kind of want to give him like a solo movie, but at the same time, I feel like I can see it turn into a solo bad guy role into a film, and that's actually one of my predictions. I think is going to.
Yeah, I was going to say he's either going to be a villain or they're going to jump straight into Planet Hulk, based off of the last Thor movie.
And let's not forget how Sam Jackson showed up at the end of Iron Man. Iron Man showed up at the end of the Hulk.
Yeah, he did.
So we know we're going somewhere with this Avengers thing now.
Yeah.
Right, and then it moves straight into afterwards. It's a first time that they started to get weird and introduce an entirely new civilization in Asgard, with the beautiful Chris Hemsworth and his biceps and ridiculous abs.
After Incredible Hulk came Iron Man 2. Right?
It was Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2 came next. This is your favorite joint.
Out of the Iron Man, yeah.
Mickey Rourke played the
out of
bad
Iron
guy.
Man.
Out of all the Iron Mans, all right, give me your reasoning.
Not necessarily the plot, but the action. It has good action sequences. I thought were dope. I thought the one where they're on the racetrack, I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the main fighting scene was pretty cool. Did they have moments where they dropped the ball? Absolutely. But out of all of them, I like if you think about it, the very first Iron Man, what action are you really getting in the fight scene? You're getting it when he's building it, which is barely, and you're getting it when he fights Obadiah then. Other than that, you're really not getting it.
Well, he has the one scene
He's
where
building he's testing stuff. They're building his backstory.
Right.
But in the second one, I felt like you got consistent action, at least fight scenes throughout. Was the plot kind of bad? Yeah. But the action scenes were cool, at least to me.
I feel as if so since this is one of your favorite Iron Man movies. Right?
Yeah, favorite Iron Man movie. Yeah.
So with Marvel having their consistent run of bad guys, how did Mickey Rourke fit this whole setup for you with him playing Whiplash?
I think because he wasn't like. Well, I was human, but if you look at majority of the villains in MCU, they're always some type of supernatural thing. This was like a regular person that was pissed off. You know what I mean?
Because something his dad did.
Right. I mean, his reason behind it was
Stark
stupid.
is a piece of shit, apparently, because he's the reason for a lot of beef.
True. But this is where they got kind of a plot holes, because how you feel that way, and some people feel that way. Captain America feel like he was a good guy. You know what I mean? They mentioned how good Howard Stark is in the Captain America movies. But for this one, I thought it was a more down-to-earth villain to me. This guy was pissed off about something, so he decided to make Tony Stark look like a fool and change it. I can't knock him for that.
So, Los, Iron Man 2 replaces Terrence Howard. Iron Man, mate.
First of all, great move.
That was a great move.
I wasn't ready for. I'm locking in on him, man. Even at the end, next time, baby, I was like pass.
Nope.
Pass.
There's no next time for you, sir. No. So when they replaced Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle,
as if we weren't going to notice.
I agree. Well played. However, it took me a while to really warm up to Don Cheadle. I feel like she was 10 years older than Terrence Howard.
Only reason I felt pretty good about Don Cheadle as War Machine is because it was almost like instant chemistry. You could tell that Terrence Howard was forcing the chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. And I know they already had a problem on set.
Right.
You know, you look at the way Don Cheadle came in. And you remember when it came out, there was all kind of talk saying that Don Cheadle wasn't happy with this, he wasn't happy with that.
Right.
None of that shit played on screen.
Right.
So it's like I feel like you needed that caliber of an actor to sell that this is, you know, this is Tony Stark's best friend. With Iron Man 2, I was let down only because you got Mickey Rourke coming off of The Wrestler, and then the
Academy Award nominated.
His star went right out the door.
It just shot through the roof. And then the commercial, even the commercial build, I was like, yo, he looks.
I was into the commercial. I was like,
he looked like a beast. You know what I'm saying? Had the accent and ended it with the laugh. I'm like, oh, this about to be dope. And it clicks to him playing double dutch. I was looking like, okay, what is he doing here? Like, it looked cool because it was just going quickly, but when he gets to the movie, it just starts off and it just looks like double dutch.
I think the only thing that's redeeming of Iron Man 2 is actually probably Justin Hammer, because he was Sam Rockwell. He was just having the time of his life, especially like that little dance they did right at the start of the Stark Convention. Yeah. I'm like, look at you. You just like came out with that. That was not you were. Nobody was expecting that from you, and then that just like came out of nowhere.
That was the last time we saw DJ AM live, wasn't it?
That was. AM
was.
died shortly after.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. He died before it came out.
Before it came out, you're right. He's in the credits.
Right.
Do you have an iconic scene with it by any chance?
Iron Man 2, no.
But I would probably say like the Senate scene, the Senate hearing.
Yeah, but you're right. Because rest in peace to Gary Shandling. When him and Tony have this,
he did die too, huh?
Yeah, when they have this back and forth, like, dude, they genuinely fucking hate each other,
right?
Which is great. But leading up to now the connection here, because after Iron Man 2, we get Thor,
right?
The first Thor. I'm not a fan of the first Thor. Don't pretend to be. I won't even try.
I agree with you on that one.
But
I was so mad because I like Thor. I was so mad.
I liked him too. It just seemed like Thor was like on this, and that's really his character, but it's really like some Shakespearean, weird dialogue. Get it?
That's kind of nitpicky because that is his character.
That's his character. But for him to come to Earth and be like that fish out of water story, it was just, I didn't really care for it. It was cool action scenes. And, we got our first look at Loki, obviously, who is, before we got Killmonger, is the best MCU villain we've ever had.
Yeah, I think Loki was dope as a villain.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, Dave, so for
Illis
you,
perm.
So when you take Thor and put him in this fish out of water story, and you have Natalie Portman doing whatever she can do to spice this up, and then you have, who's the chick that had the one-liner?
She's from...
the one with the titties, right?
Yeah, she do got titties. She do.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was whatever. I actually, there were a few parts about it that I did like. I was a big fan of Skarsgård and like what they kind of did with him later on, because they just turned him really funny. But man, I was such a huge fan of Loki and his entire thing. But what was lame about it is like they tried to do this like reveal that Laufey, if you guys remember the Frost Giant guy, like he was going to be like this kind of a big bad in it, right. Get his revenge on Odin and blah blah blah. But no, I kind of agree with everyone here. Like it's just okay.
Yeah.
Like
I think if they would have went the angle that you're talking about, it probably would have been better.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit, and then kind of playing the hint of seeds to Loki.
My question is, in that movie, we see Loki kind of turn into a baby frost giant, if you will.
Right.
Why haven't we seen that since? Like, that just disappeared?
Well, they haven't had a chance to actually show it, because remember, in Thor Ragnarok, the only time that it was actually ever shown was when he grabbed the cube, because the cube is actually from the Odinheim. Which is the planet where the frost, which is the planet where the frost giants are at. They haven't played that ever since, and really, like, there's not a major point to that. Even in the comic books, it wasn't ever like a major point to that story. And honestly, it's much better. It's much better without it on, especially because we already knew if they were going to push the Avengers, then they needed something equal to push back to it. Loki being a frost giant, he was never known that in Norse mythology.
And plus, he's Loki like Rachel Dolezal because he wants to be an Asgardian. He wants to, and when he came down to Earth,
Rachel Dolezal.
yeah, ultimately, it's what it is. You got to think about it too, because when he came down to Earth, and he was like, he still called himself son of Odin, even though we found out he was adopted. So it's like I think he just wanted that image.
Well, and also, not to mention around this time as well, Loki's working for Thanos, that we don't really find out until maybe Avengers 1.
Right.
But he's been working for Thanos this whole time.
I actually think that the most iconic scene from that movie is actually the end credit scene where Skarsgård is
The first Thor.
in the first Thor, where they're actually shown the Tesseract like the first real time, and you get the mirror image in the background, and it's Loki in the background.
Yeah, that was a cool ass scene.
That was that's actually one of my favorite end credit scenes that's out there. How about you guys? Any redeeming qualities that you guys really have of it? Anything that you would like to see back?
Idris Elba as
Heimdall.
Heimdall. He was awesome. I really, and really, it's in all three movies. He doesn't get enough screen time, but when he is present, he has such a strong presence. As far as you can tell, him and Thor have a special bond, friendship, relationship, whatever it is. But with Heimdall, he does create that really strong watcher presence.
Right.
I just want to see more of him.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I have this thing with Marvel movies that especially like rewatching all of them at this point. I'm like, see, all they're doing is they're grabbing these great actors and putting them into these like minor roles, and I'm like, that guy could have played a bad guy. That guy could have played this. It is what it is. But from there, it moves forward. We go into the past, back into World War II with the first ever Avenger, Captain America. And what are your guys' thoughts, Los? What do you think?
I wasn't the biggest fan of it. And the only reason I wasn't is I feel like and this is something I've always felt even as a child. I always felt there were other Avengers that could have had that lead role, but I understand why it was Captain America, considering the time that Captain America came out, and they kind of just had to run with it. But the movie itself, it was cheesy. It was really cheesy to me.
There was definitely cheese.
It was some crafts in there. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It was just kind of cheesy. The CGI in the beginning making what's his name again?
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, a midget, basically. Like, that's some shitty CGI.
No, I disagree because that was the first time they even used that kind of technology to make a character be that character, to make the actor look like him, but just completely CGI.
We saw Lieutenant Dan without legs back in the early 90s. They could have did something better.
Okay.
With Chris Evans.
Sorry, I gotta give that to Los.
It was really shitty CGI, but I would say when the action was happening, the movie was good. Mm-hmm. The dialogue to help the script move forward, I wasn't feeling it. It was kind of corny to me.
I'll agree. I'm not a fan of the first Avenger either, but for what it does to set up what we now get next is the first Avengers movie. It takes you back to a time where we now have Howard Stark and his involvement in what we now know as Steve Rogers. And side note, this was the first time we get an actor to play two Marvel characters. Well, obviously two different times, but with Chris Evans playing
Human Torch,
Johnny Storm, and now he's playing Captain America. I prefer him playing Captain America.
I think everybody prefers.
Captain America. Come on,
everybody prefers.
Look, we don't talk about the Fantastic Four.
Right,
movies.
you see, Michael B. Jordan became Killmonger real quick.
Because the reboot is garbage too.
You're right.
Michael B. Jordan became Killmonger real quick. Like he was who? Human Torch? No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. See, so that's what it is. To become successful in the MCU, you got to play the Human Torch. And then you probably get one of the most memorable characters out there. Right?
That's fine with me. Sign me up. Sign me up. I will be the thing. I will be the thing. No problem. I can make it work.
They're done casting Black Human Torches. I think they wrapped that up.
Kev, I gotta ask, what'd you think of Red Skull?
That was my question.
I don't know.
Hell Hydra.
I don't know.
Hugo Weaving. He's played so many comic book characters.
He killed that character.
He did kill that character. not a huge fan of Captain America like that.
Okay.
I understood that the movie does have to set up kind of his backstory, especially for the people that don't really read the comics. But I just wasn't, like you guys said, it was cheesy. I watched it because it was necessary. I'll put it that way.
All right. I think overall my take on it is this: is that I think there are a couple redeeming qualities from it. One is Red Skull, and I really feel like he needs to come back in the future. Because,
I wouldn't mind that.
I think he was menacing. I think there was a good part to him that actually had some fear coming from it. I felt like he was the strongest bad guy to have come out at that point,
right.
Outside of Loki. But even Loki and Thor, like Loki didn't really, in my eyes, didn't feel like Loki
until
that
Avengers.
ending scene of Thor,
okay.
and then going into the first Avengers.
Okay.
And I also really enjoyed the little love story between Steve Rogers and Haley Atwell, and you could tell that everybody else loved it. I mean, they made a TV show out of Agent Carter, and she was a lot of fun while doing it.
I just couldn't wait until he got out of that past and got him to future. Present.
Right,
date.
when some shit started to happen.
I feel as if I love the period pieces, but at the same time, I was like, I need this train to roll.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I like period pieces, but not when it's in regards to my superheroes. And if they do have to go into the past or select period, I don't want it to be the duration of the movie.
So with that being said, I remember sitting in the theater watching it. At this point, we now have grown accustomed to Marvel showing you something after the credits. Mm-hmm. So after Captain America, we get the first trailer to the Avengers. We get Captain America beating the shit out that bag. Mm-hmm. Beating it to where he beats it off the damn chain.
And bags are heavy, bro.
Heavy as shit. And he's beating them shits up. Mm-hmm. Grabbing one as he beats them up. And so now we're getting to the point to where we officially have the first superhero team up in the first Avengers. This classic, in my opinion now, classic movie now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Avengers is a classic to me.
So now think of the build up because as we've been talking, you know, we've been asked, oh, how'd you feel about this? And really the only movie that everybody agrees is dope is the first Iron Man. You know, yes. So you've literally had 4 movies in between there after Iron Man where everybody's just kind of like, some of us may have liked it, some of us were so I remember walking into it and I remember talking to my boy about it. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. Like it's already so many characters already into it, and it really wasn't compared to what we have get now.
There were like 7 of them, like 48 motherfuckers in here.
Right, and so I was worried, like going forward, this is the first real time we're going to see Black Widow everything. This is the first time we're going to see Hawkeye in action. You know, how is this all going to work? How's everything going to feel? And the level of emotion that it got out of me, and it still does. Watching it last week, it's just so much fun.
Doesn't it put you in like a kid state again? Almost?
It really does. Yeah.
Like you watching it, you're like, man, this shit is cool. I feel like you feel good watching it.
You know what's hilarious about how you feel about Avengers? Is that was the complete opposite of how you felt about seeing Justice League. Right. Like, you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed watching Avengers, watching Justice League kind of with the,
Look, I like Justice League. Don't get me wrong, too. I think it's better than what people kind of make it out to be. But no, compared to the Avengers, no, it's a B-side.
The Avengers ran, I want to say 2 hours, 20-something minutes. But I swear, the minute the Marvel logo it starts, it feels like the movie's like all of 30 minutes long because you're so heavily into it.
Yeah.
And it has a wicked flow to it.
It does.
You know what I mean? Like there's no boring moments, there's no down moments.
They keep you on a decent cinematic roller coaster.
It really does. You know, to the point to where like by the time we get to that final scene where we get Hulk slamming the shot of Loki, calling him a puny god, which is my favorite scene. That's my favorite scene.
I think that's everybody's favorite scene.
But it has such a great flow to it. Even when they introduce Nick Fury, I'm sorry, not Nick Fury, Hawkeye. We've already had ScarJo. What's her name again?
Black Widow.
Black Widow. She was introduced in Iron Man 2.
Right.
So she's around. But Hawkeye is somebody that I've never heard of. But when they put him into the situation, it's like, you know what? I don't mind you. I mean, you're a human. You can die at any day. But I don't mind you. You're pretty cool, actually.
His superpower is really good aim.
I think one of the
What's
best
about archery? I'm really good at it.
one of the best parts that Whedon did in it is he made sure that not only was it a collaboration, but that everybody got a moment to shine separately,
Yeah.
and they all did that with the solo, with each of the solo scenes against Loki. You know, first Tony Stark is fully introduces the Avengers. You know. I have an army. We have a Hulk, you know, and he's just going through it. And then, of course, Thor versus Loki, and he kind of get a little bit of a fight scene. Even Hawkeye shoots an arrow at him, and Cap is able to get a couple shots at him as well. But that scene with the Hulk is by far it was the most comic books feel I've ever had in a Marvel movie at that point, because it was like, oh man, he's going to start monologuing again, and he's like, nope, and just starts slamming the fuck out of him. And I'm like, oh man, this is literally the most.
I remember
the most epic
sitting in the theater with Los. We were in Ohio, were we? We saw it. I believe it was Ohio.
No, because
y'all was out.
I said this was May 2012. I graduated in May.
Well, anyway, I remember sitting in the theater with Los. And when that scene pops up, because it comes so sudden, because like you said, you believe Loki is going to give his high and mighty, I'm better than you speech. And halfway through, shut the fuck up. I love that. I love that scene.
That's why the Hulk is my favorite MCU character, because even when you look at the comics, when you look at the cartoons, when you look at the little mini movies, the good ones and the bad ones, he's never been much for conversation.
No, he's just right to the shit.
He's just one exactly. He's right with the hands, and that's all you're gonna catch
That's
when Hulk comes around.
It's only not until Thor Ragnarok is when he actually kind of starts talking.
Right, you know, we get a little
he's
bit of
not
Hulk
even
personality.
really talking.
Exactly, and I think another thing they did good with Avengers is making you wait on the Hulk. Because you see all these situations like, bruh, get the Hulk.
Right, yeah.
All this shit will be done, and then when you finally get the Hulk, it's like you get the Hulk.
See, and that's funny because I think the Hulk is my favorite scene too, but it's when Mark Ruffalo comes and I'm always angry. That shit
was
so
good.
hard.
So dope. Yes, and he
turns around and instantly becomes
it was
the Hulk.
so hard. I was like, what? It was hard.
You're like, what?
Going forward with it, I mean, the impact that this movie had, not only in the MCU universe that would happen, but also what it spawned from there. Because now, all right, so what the CW has like 15 DC universe shows. Yeah. And then we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that literally came out with it. And it was the first time I'd ever seen a TV show start basing things that it was discussing that you would see in a movie, and it would start tying things in it. The only time that would actually happen is with cartoons, and a lot of times it didn't ever really work. Right. I don't know if anybody's ever watched any of those episodes. I know I haven't. So
hey, what, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
I can't say that I did.
Nope.
So, question for you, Los. You probably gonna say no, but whatever. When Coulson dies, or at least we're believed, we're supposed to believe that Coulson died, that Loki kills Coulson. Did you feel anything?
Nope.
Not
the only
really?
reason I didn't feel anything because it was established that Coulson was there to do his job. He never really got a chance to.
He was too in and out.
Exactly. He was too in and out. He came in, did what he had to do, bounced. You know, when he came in with the Thule and was doing his thing before he got stabbed, it was like I didn't really develop an emotional connection with him. I thought he was just, emotionless badass.
Because Marvel's known for killing somebody off and bringing them right back. So,
No questions asked.
So when he died, I'm like, oh, okay. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Guess who's back? Coulson. He was dead 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Well, they said on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they explained why, how he got brought back.
again, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't even tell you. I'm sure I could wiki it right now, but I don't.
I mean, I'm sure we all can, but
Okay, so Kev, for you, looking back on the impact of the first Avengers, which like Dave said, it pretty much kicked off to what we now know as like superhero, that comic book genre, right? Did you ever think they would go past having 7, 8 comic book heroes in one movie? Now we're at Infinity War was like 45 characters.
Did I ever think it would get to the point we're at now?
Yeah.
Nah, and that's only because it was so unheard of. What they did up until Avengers was so unheard of. The most we got similar to that was what, Batman?
Right.
So I didn't. Me personally, it was one of those things where I didn't have an expectation, but even if I did, they met that expectation.
Yeah, they superseded my
expectation. Exactly.
Because I think The Dark Knight was released in 2011.
No, Dark
was
Knight
that
was
the
20...
08, right?
08, yeah.
08, 09?
Dark Knight, or was that Batman Begins?
No, Dark Knight.
It was Batman, because Batman Begins was 05, and then Dark Knight was
I think I want to say 08.
No, I think you're right.
It definitely dropped around the first Iron Man, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's like at that point, DC, and really, it's more Nolan was known for dropping his things, and it was like, of course, again, we didn't really know what we had, and now that was 12 movies ago. Like, think about that. That was 12 movies ago, right. And now we're at this wonderful point of where we're at now. Final question on the Avengers. At the very, very end of the movie, we had the little snippet of what's going to happen. We hear like whispers, and we're like, okay, we have these aliens coming in, but who's their leader? Who's the big bad? And we get the first actual reveal of Thanos coming in. Los, how'd you feel about it?
I thought it was clever. Like, I thought it was really clever. I'm glad he wasn't.
I thought it wasn't finished.
I'm about to say, you could definitely tell there was more CGI work that had to be done.
No doubt.
Obviously, but.
Definitely.
Because compared to the Thanos now, I mean, it's Debo, basically. Right. But, back then, it was like, I'm glad they didn't have Thanos coming out like, oh, I am Thanos and yada, yada. They kept it super subtle. I forgot which movie it is where they actually have him walk in and grab the Infinity Gauntlet.
It would have been
is that after
Guardians.
the second Avenger?
That wasn't Guardians.
Because he grabs the thing. He says, "Fine, I'll do
it myself."
It was actually Dark World.
Dark World.
No, I think it's Age of Ultron. It has to be.
I think it's Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I think it is.
Damn. So did I see Age of Ultron?
because after the Avengers, we just get a look at him. He's looking at us.
Yeah, I think it's Age of
because he walks in
Ultron.
like, I'll do it myself. I thought that was a bit
Oh
much.
no, you guys are right. It is Age of Ultron.
I thought that was a bit much, but how they introduce him, it instantly gets you excited because it's like, yo.
And you know he's not like any other villain.
Exactly.
You know he's coming in there with an ass.
Exactly.
Right. He's not playing no games. So now we get into Iron Man 3, which is, in my opinion, the worst of the three.
That old Iron Man less ass Iron
Iron
Man.
Man, Iron Man 3 or Iron Man 2?
No, it's Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3.
At this
Iron Man
point,
3.
the seventh movie of the MCU.
Oh, my bad. You said Iron Man. I'm thinking Thor. My bad.
So
the seventh movie of the MCU
the launching
wound
of
up being
this launching of phase two. Phase 2
Right.
now. And I can't lie. Iron Man 3.
My name is Trevor. I'm sorry. That's like my favorite part.
But it has some really cool action moments, a lot of emotional moments with Tony because like at this point Tony's gonna pretty much quit being Iron Man.
Right.
What fucks the whole movie up for me, hands down, is the whole thing with the Mandarin.
That is trash.
I mean, it's so
that shit was trash. Because the Mandarin's like a legit villain. Like that shit was trash.
And Ben Kingsley, when he's playing, acting like the Mandarin, he looks scary as shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is an old man, like, you'll never see me coming.
You
like,
will never
I
see
love
me
that.
coming.
For that to be a quick, just throw you off real quick because Guy Pearce is the one who's doing all the evil shit. Like, no, because Tony to talk to you at a party, that's petty shit.
And even though they just set the Mandarin up just to be an actor, how it started off, the way they brought it to like present time, to almost make it seem like the Mandarin was a terrorist instead of this huge supervillain. It was almost like, damn, so this is Bin Laden if he was in a Marvel movie.
Basically, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, okay.
And it's like
Iron Man fighting Bin Laden. All right.
Right, And I thought it was a beautiful setup until my name is Trevor. Y'all got to go back and watch the movie just for that scene.
Along with those problems, there were small problems with the movie that I had also. In the first Iron Man, they actually introduced the 10 rings, and that was kind of like the play on words that they were doing. Like, oh, the 10 rings kind of came back, and now they have this up and coming guy named the Mandarin, and he's coming in. And I remember in the first Iron Man, they had that one guy, and I was like, man, what if he winds up actually being the Mandarin? But then they wound up killing him off halfway through the movie. What drove me nuts was like there were small things like, what is the extremist virus? Like, what is it supposed to do? Okay, so it's supposed to regenerate your body, I guess. But then if you have too much emotion in you, I guess, if you get passionate over anything, you
blow up.
So somebody asked this, like if you're in the heat of a moment with a woman.
That's what I was getting at. You in there beating cheeks, and you mean to tell me I can blow up just off the cheeks?
Sheer excitement. Nah, bro.
Sheer excitement.
Yeah,
Nah,
man.
bro.
Nah, man.
I will say this.
I'm risking it all.
Like Tony.
What do you say? Ain't no coochie good enough to get burnt while I'm up in it, right?
I will say this. I do think it's the best portrayal up until that point of Tony Stark, because Robert Downey Jr. was acting out of his ass with that.
Yeah, because the point with Stark in this movie, he's still mentally fucked up from.
He was suffering PTSD
from what happened
Right.
in the Avengers. You know, he went to space and died.
Honestly, and that was my favorite thing about that movie is how they did that. Like, you see this man struggling through this movie, and it's not the fact that he's struggling that made it dope. It's the fact that what he's struggling about. Like, really put your mind in that.
Right.
Like, not only is it super villains out here that can kill me.
Right.
We aren't the only people in this universe.
Clearly.
Right.
I've been out there. I fought these. Like, if you really put yourself in that, you'd be like, "Yo,
And I
this is
died
some
in
shit."
space.
Yeah, this is some shit.
And I technically
so
died in
so
space.
by them making him suffer the way he is, I thought that was the dopest thing. But the flying robots and he remotely controls. Nah, because if that's the case, dude, then we don't need police. We need Iron Man on every block.
And then that last
Since you can remotely control shit.
that last scene where he's just like where he's basically like he's like, oh, I just realized I was just kind of being a dick this entire time with a piece of shrapnel in my heart, and I could have gotten this fixed any fucking time that I actually wanted to, and now I just decided to do so because I'm fucking Tony Stark and I have all
No,
this
he
money.
decided to do so because Pepper was about to leave.
Right.
He didn't want that coochie to go nowhere. He was up.
So now we're at Thor: The Dark World. Whew, okay.
Yikes.
We'll just call this Thor: Dark Elves.
Because I don't know about y'all, but damn, this movie's hard to get through. Who's hard to get through? Because
Honestly, I didn't understand it.
it's hard to understand.
It is like so. How do you put it? What was it? Natalie Portman? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. No,
So she essentially had an Infinity Stone in her, or I don't know.
Right.
Either way, the bitch should have died,
Right.
and she didn't.
Right. For some odd reason, and it's really why it didn't make sense, because they kind of explained this with what's his face, with Star-Lord and
Guardians of the Galaxy. But-
because remember, he grabs an Infinity Stone.
But in hindsight, we know why he's able to grab it though now.
Right, of course, which is why it doesn't make any sense with Natalie Portman, because the only if we're technically following the comic book, she does wind up becoming Thor, but whatever, we ain't going to talk about that. But
Contracts
still,
and all.
but it's a bad release. See, for me with Dark World, the worst part about it was actually just the villains in general. Like, they were garbage. Tell me, they looked terrible. I don't even remember what their entire point was because apparently they can line up
There
the
were
planets.
elves.
They were
dark
evil,
elves.
They were elves.
Evil
That's it.
Evil
Legolas.
elves.
Evil
Right.
Legoloses. That's what they were.
Right, evil. The only part I really liked in it was Loki once again, because he was just having fun at this point, and that ending fight scene, because I was like, all right, yeah, this is cool. This CGI is not bad.
This was another one that the commercial got me, especially when you find out that Loki and Thor was going to team up, and it just ends with Loki. And where do we start?
Right.
I'm like, oh shit, let's do it. And you watch it, it's like, fuck you, movie. Don't come through to tickle my dick like that. Fuck you, movie.
Yeah, so for me, in my opinion now, Thor: The Dark World is now 0 for 2 for Thor. I didn't love the first Thor. Didn't care for the Dark World.
Dark World had to be the worst.
But
I mean,
three,
it's,
right?
it's down to my bottom three too.
But I'm not gonna lie though, number 3 is the most redeemable way to get Thor back in my good graces. But we'll get to that in a second. But it's such a forgettable plot. It's such a forgettable movie. Like, as we see it right now, I really can't tell you what it's about.
No, I can't either.
And I'm not going to try to explain the plot, like because it's stupid. Like it's basically lining up of the planets, and then weird shit happens in reality when that happens. But no, see, it's even talked.
Who directed that?
Exactly.
That's a good question.
He need to stay far away from Marvel. They need to keep him far the fuck away.
He ain't
I think
right.
it started away from.
I don't care. He could have had some input, change some shit.
Yeah, he likes elves.
Was there anything redeemable for you guys about this movie? Was there anything that you can say, you know what, I wouldn't have mind seeing that again?
Rihanna naked.
She's not even
He asked me
okay,
what redeeming
cool.
qualities I would like to see. That's the redeeming quality I would like to see.
I want to say the end credits, we got a look at was it Bucky?
Winter Soldier?
They make mention to Winter Soldier at the end of Thor. Now, coming into so I will only watch a Marvel movie, just to get excited about whatever in post credit scene we're gonna get. Right? The movie could be trash. In this case, Dark World was trash. However, I just stuck around so I could see what was coming next. So at least I know where we're going from here.
Right.
So when we saw Winter Soldier, which once again I knew nothing about him, but I knew the next movie coming up was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And not being a fan of the first Captain America, I go into Winter Soldier super hesitant. But let's see what we get. Captain America: The Winter Soldier is so cold. Before we got Civil War, it was the best Captain America movie ever. 100%.
I still think it is.
Really?
I do.
You think that's better than Civil War?
I think it's just a little okay. Think of it this way: if I was to rate Winter Soldier, it's a 9.7. Civil War is a 9.6 for me because there's just a little bit of dry parts with Civil War.
Well, think of the difference. Captain America: Winter Soldier is essentially a government. It's a political film.
It is.
I mean, like all these Marvel movies have these different themes. Like Ant-Man's a heist flick, Guardians of the Galaxy is a space opera. Winter Soldier is a political movie. You know what I mean? So, Los, you seen Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel about as far as the way they unveiled Bucky to us? Because we didn't see Bucky. Well, question: last time we saw Bucky was in the first Avenger.
First Avenger.
So it looked like he died.
Right. But when you know the actual character, it's all okay. Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back. We give it time. But no, the rollout for Winter Soldier was dope. I just hated that it was so much mystery like throughout the movie, even though everyone knew that it was Bucky. But as far as your argument with it being the best Captain America film, Dave, because I realized they can't see me looking at you. I also agree with that one. And the only reason I say that is because, Jay, you can attest to this, I've often called Captain America Civil War Avengers by accident because it's really just Avengers, like Diet Avengers.
Like
Avengers
2.5.
before, right?
You know, exactly. So I often forget that it's supposed to be a standalone Captain America movie.
Right.
The Winter Soldier was a standalone Captain America movie.
I was just blown away by the trailers. When Cap is chasing him and he throws the shield, motherfucker stops and just grabs it.
Catches it, yeah.
Like, whoo! Whoo! All right. All right.
All right, so you're obviously on the same juice
So
that I'm
clearly, you ain't to be
on.
fucked with. I get it. But one of the most off-the-chain, greatest fight scenes in that movie is in the elevator with Crossbones and, like,
It's
20
funny you say that
fucking
because
guys.
when you guys asked me to be on the show, this was the last one I had to watch. So I was watching this one last night.
Right.
And then I also seen on YouTube, was it YouTube or Twitter? It was Twitter. Chris Evans, he was just showing like the trainings that he was doing. So I got to see behind the scenes that elevator scene, but that elevator scene is dope. Anybody want to get out before we get started?
He's letting you know.
He's letting you know he about to fuck you up.
If you don't want none of this smoke, get out now.
Nobody gets out, and they all get their ass beat.
And on top of that, he kicks up the shield. America. I'm good. Love it. So in this movie, we see pretty much the demise of S.H.I.E.L.D., the fake assassination of Nick Fury, in which we also get to see Sam Jackson kind of get his action shit going when he's shooting them up with the agents outside. So
And no, he actually was shooting them up on the first Avengers too.
He was.
On the sneak. Sam be
was.
laying
Yeah, he
shit
was.
down on the
No,
sneak.
he was.
he was.
I just need like one. Go get the motherfucking Infinity Stone. I need that one time before they wrap all this shit up. I just need that one time. But they ain't gonna give it to me. They don't care about the fans.
Nick Fury's like the father of like S.H.I.E.L.D. You know what I'm saying?
It's Sam Jackson. It's,
Right.
This the only movie he didn't say motherfucker. He even said motherfucking Eve's Value.
Yeah.
What's the Sam
I've
Jackson
never
movie?
seen Eve's Bio, but now I need to watch it.
You have
Just-
to. It's
just
a
to watch
motherfucker
it.
in there.
And the funny thing is, this is kind of like the last time we even see Sam Jackson as Nick Fury for a
For a
while.
while.
For a cool minute,
long
Because
time.
he's not in Age of Ultron. He's not in.
Nah, he's not in. Yes, he is in.
No, he's not.
No.
No, he's not. Wait, when they brung the thing in to get the people off of that,
Yes,
He is
you're
in
right.
there.
Yeah,
No,
you're right.
he is. He
You're
is
right.
in
Take it
there.
back.
he's in Age of Ultron, but I think Age of Ultron is it.
But
Yeah, you're right.
What was so great about this is that it had great performances across the board. I mean, they brought in Robert Redford, and Redford like let everybody know like, hey, I'm the bad guy in this, and so everybody was like, oh man, why'd you give that reveal? But it's like it didn't take away from the movie for me.
Right.
If I can just squeeze in really quick, Jolene, because I just read this, and we're conveniently talking about Samuel L. Jackson. Comic-Con debuted the commercial for Glass, the sequel of
Yes, I
Split
saw that.
and Unbreakable.
Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna
I
be
love
amazing.
Split.
Kevin, you look lost.
Yeah, because
You remember the movie Unbreakable?
I remember Unbreakable. I remember
All
that.
right.
I haven't seen Split yet.
Okay,
That's
But I can go. I can go home and watch Split. But then I haven't seen Unbreakable in like years. But I've seen that.
But yeah, the in my eyes, like the story is just top notch. Everything is really great with Winter Soldier. The performances across the board was just phenomenal. I mean, it was the first time because remember at this point it was like Shield's established, and we all thought that was going to be a major thing moving forward.
Right.
They're like, nah, man, nah. Shield just got
destroyed,
shut the fuck down. Like,
well, that's
it's like
right.
seriously, it's like holy shit. Like the fuck is going to happen next?
And overall, just the way that the movie plays out and how it's structured, it's just like Avengers. You can't take your eyes off it because there's no boring parts in it. And Winter Soldier, you now believe, though he is doing the fucked up shit he's doing, he's not actually doing it. You know what I mean? Hydra, Hell Hydra, they got him.
Hydra.
So after,
I really did feel bad for Bucky when they start showing like what he went through. I was like, oh man, somebody hugged this dude.
he's too busy killing. After Winter Soldier, we get, in my opinion, the biggest roll of the dice that you just wasn't sure if it was going to work or not. But goddamn it worked.
Oh man,
Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I never knew what the fuck this was.
Well, think about it. This literally had
Anyone else notice Kev's face?
No,
so
I was scratching.
Oh, that's your scratch face?
Yeah, my face is itching. My facial hair growing back.
so
Thought you were choking yourself.
so at this point, the Guardians is the 9th movie or the 8th?
I want to say ninth.
Let me see.
It's the 9th because it goes Iron Man 3.
1, 6, 7, 8. It's 9.
It's the 9th movie, so we're halfway through going into it, and no Iron Man, no Thor, no Loki, no Captain America, no Winter Soldier,
And
no
it's-
Nick Fury,
All trash.
and right.
Guardians?
I don't like none of the Guardians.
Oh, get the fuck out of
I don't
here.
like the first one or the second one.
You're tripping. The only thing that makes it a Marvel movie because Stan Lee's in it. But seriously, you take a premise of this Han Solo-ish dude, this green chick whose father happens to be Thanos, a talking tree, a talking raccoon, and a guy who's out for revenge, played by fucking Dave Bautista. And you're trust me, it's a roll of the dice. You don't know if this is gonna work or not, but it fucking works for me. I saw Guardians maybe 3 times in theaters.
It was amazing.
I loved it. Kev was tripping.
I didn't like
Kev,
it.
all right, Kev, what's your reason? Why did you not like it?
I like the connection it has to the other films. You know what I mean? I like the fact that you got characters like Zamora, how she's related allegedly to Thanos. Or how, I like relationships
Sure.
like that. But as far as the movie, it just wasn't for me. I can't really say that it was something bad about it. It just wasn't for me. I just wasn't interested in it. I did not like it.
Damn, that's cold.
For the overall story,
Winter
it works.
Soldier's cold, but
for
that
the,
was cold,
For the
right?
overall story, it works.
Ba-dum-cha.
I just didn't like it, and I tried to give it a chance because I went to the second one. I was like, you know what? I don't really like the first one. Let me go see the second one. Maybe I'm missing something. To me, the second one was worse than the first one. I
The
just
second one's
don't
more
like it.
The second one's like a sitcom. This is way too much comedy.
Yeah, I just don't like
Yes.
it.
But the fact that in Guardians we do get a first. Well, we've seen Thanos before, but we get a first hands-on, 100% look at Thanos, what he's about, what he's trying to do.
And he even gives you. They even give you like a little scene with him.
Don't
they give you the scene? Yeah.
Actually, more than one scene actually, because one he's talking to who's the bad guy?
Ronan, the accuser.
Ronan. Horrible fucking
For
villain,
a guy
by the
who
way.
doesn't like it, you sure do know who the bad guys are. I'm just kidding. Like,
But
He said, "You sure do got the facts, man."
I fucks with Marvel, man. I fucks with Marvel, just not the Guardian.
but when he first appears in full glory as Thanos, he creates that. He's like he's like the final boss in the game that you got to just work your way up to get to. He's gonna beat your ass every single time you get there. But overall, though, Guardians created something to where we didn't think we would even get to this point, because now, with it being the 9th movie in the MCU, we got to switch it up. We have no cosmic anything until Guardians came in. Thor, yeah, but Guardians became the official launch pad for what we know as the cosmic universe for Marvel.
Guardians was perfect because it was able to answer what was all this shit coming to Earth.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What got Robert Downey Jr. with PTSD, you know? And again, I'm right there with him, Kev. I fucked with Guardians.
No,
hard.
again, I can't say nothing. It just wasn't for me.
Wasn't for you, right? No,
it's
I
just
hear
not
you.
the kind of movie that I would want to see out of a superhero movie. I just wasn't rocking with that.
I think the
I
best
thought
scene.
their performances were dope. The plot it seemed cool. Just not my
You ain't
style.
Groot.
It was also
You ain't Groot.
it was also really the first real time that we actually got an explanation of what the Infinity Stones were.
Yes. Right.
Because if
True.
you think about it, all we had up to that point was we have the Tesseract, and then we have the Scepter, and then we have
That
the
red
Aether,
shit.
right? The Aether, and but nobody was talking about like what exactly is an Infinity Stone. So when you get that first scene in the collector's office, and the dude takes the same stone that's in the movie, and he just slams it on the ground on the planet, and the whole fucking planet is destroyed.
Yes.
You're like, holy shit, that's just one of them?
Imagine if Thanos sees all 5. Shit's going down, son. Oh my god.
You're going to give Debo
6,
5
baby.
stones.
It's
Y'all finna
6.
say, ain't it
It's not
6
5.
and
It's six-
6
it's six of them, yeah.
And it's 6. We just haven't been introduced to the soul one.
So after Guardians, which is great, Kev's tripping. Age of Ultron. Okay.
It starts out great.
Does it?
Yeah, because you kind of get you get the scene, and one of the favorite things about the original Avenger was you get the collaboration of all of them, like all fighting together. So again,
Yeah, it
you're-
started off
bam!
great. It started off
right, right smack into the middle of the fight, and you're like, oh man,
Because
here we go.
because you're guaranteed
All
to get
at
that
it again.
one shot of all of them together in slow
Yeah,
motion.
the opening scene in that movie was good. They even had a little bit of comedy in there.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Ultron as a bad guy. Los, what did you think about it?
Didn't see it.
Okay. Neff, Ultron as a bad guy. What do you think about it?
All right. I'm going to get a little philosophical here. so are we actually considering Ultron as the actual bad guy here?
Well, it's something that was created by Stark that
All
pretty
right,
much turned on.
So because that is where I started having a problem with Tony Stark and the rest of the MCU films, because he was already starting to get a little bit selfish in certain ways. In Iron Man 3, he was getting selfish and trying to be all ballsy by throwing out his address and whatnot. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like you just because you faced off some aliens doesn't mean that nobody else can't hurt you. So
Like
then
a
he
boss.
goes and he comes up with this batshit crazy idea of trying to basically trying to retire once again, and he puts the world at risk at that point, and he refuses to apologize for it the entire time. And it's one of those things where it's like that's when I start to realize that Tony Stark is not a good guy, like in general. He's maybe an anti-hero, but there's been hints at it. But until Age of Ultron, it's the first time that you could actually say, nah, man, no, fuck Tony Stark, because Tony Stark kind of did some bullshit things. And then moving forward afterwards, and especially looking in hindsight, I mean, who here really roots for Tony Stark so much anymore compared to the others?
I still do.
Now,
I fuck with Tony Stark.
here's my problem with Ultron. James Spader, who was gaining his fame off the TV show The Blacklist, and was doing a really great job with it. But the problem is that there's just no character development with him. He comes in and he's evil. Like that's it. He's just a straight up bad guy.
But I think there can't be no character development because he's a robot.
But he's not a robot.
Well, in a sense, he's not. But I think that's the angle they were going. Visually, the kid's gonna look at him as a robot, so it's kind of hard to have a.
But that's a thing. Like that's where it kind of doesn't make any sense because then you have literally Vision that comes in, who winds up becoming an AI, and instead he kind of winds up. He's not. He does what he thinks is right for the universe. Is what he thinks. He doesn't necessarily think that it's great. There were other things about it too that I wasn't in love with Ultron. I don't think Age of Ultron is a bad movie. I want to make sure I say that now. I just think it wasn't as great.
I like the first movie. You feel that time as far as like the 2 hour 20 whatever. You feel that time.
Yeah,
like
right,
you do feel like you're sitting there for quite some time.
Yeah,
and I feel like with us, because we've been shown and exposed to Thanos so much, and he's been mentioned so many times in various movies. I can give a fuck about Ultron, to tell you the truth. Like, give me some Thanos, man.
Right.
You know
We know something bigger coming. Fuck this
something
nigga.
way bigger. Like, look, take care of him. Let's do something else. So, for me, I didn't love it, but at the same time, Ultron definitely had some sweet action scenes, and it gave out those tidbits as far as future stuff, what was coming and all that. Especially because it leads up to the next movie, which we'll cover in a second. But let me ask you this: let's just say hypothetically, Avengers 2 was Thanos. Granted, we wouldn't get what comes after Age of Ultron, but still, if Avengers 2 was Thanos, do you think that the MCU would wrap up so quick, or they're in it for the long haul?
No, they're definitely in it for the long haul.
No, because at that point, this is another key thing about it. At that point, it's 2015 is when Age of Ultron came out, right? So 2015, Age of Ultron came out. The same year, what dropped was the first actual Marvel Netflix series in Daredevil Season 1. And that actually kind of changed a little bit of the landscape as well, because now we're starting to say, so what is the MCU? Are we actually starting to piece together certain things where we can get the Defenders and the Avengers all into one movie, which I'm kind of a fan of until I actually saw the Defenders.
Luke Cage is the shit, though.
Yeah, Luke Cage is dope, but the Defenders are trash. I get what you're going. I think Marvel's in it for the long haul. I mean, me personally, I've seen some of the quote-unquote releases that they're going to do in the future, so I definitely know they're in it for the long haul. But I think everything that they're doing is strategic. I think it's a reason we got the Avenger movie we got, as far as the villains goes. I think it's a reason we got Ultron, because even though it wasn't as good as the first one, it did kind of lay foundation for the future movies. Right. So Ultron probably wasn't the best villain, but he was the most necessary villain right now.
I can agree with that because that's also the first time it's the first time we ever hear the words Wakanda.
Yeah,
yes.
Because that is such a key part into the movie where it's like, okay, you're actually talking vibranium, you're actually talking Wakanda.
That scene in Africa is actually my favorite scene in that movie too.
So are you actually discussing that there's a potential Black Panther? And that's where I started to start saying, okay, are they really going to go from here as well? Other things they
teased Black Panther for a while through the MCU. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
It was a few movies where I want to say it was either Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 2 does bring up Wakanda because they deal with.
That's what I was going to say. It's Iron Man 2.
They deal with Claw, because Claw gets jumped. Well, not jumped. He gets beat up in Iron Man 2.
Right, but then it was one other movie where they have a map. And they have like targets on a bunch of different things, and then
that's Winter Soldier.
In, like, the
right. In Winter Soldier, they had the targets, and they did mention Wakanda. But this is the first time you actually get introduced to somebody that we would now later know had a serious history with Wakanda and what vibranium is. Because the only time we were introduced to vibranium was the shield. So then immediately it was Cap's shield. So I'm sure there were some nerds out there that were trying to connect, that weren't comic book nerds in that sense. That were trying to say, okay, well, if this is the strongest metal ever, how did they get such a little quantity of it to just make one one fucking shield. You know, where's the rest of it going to be in? That was what was so important with Age of Ultron. It really felt like it says, okay, now we're going to start spreading things out. It also was the first real time that, in my eyes, that it was the Avengers actually failed in their mission. Like, it was, they didn't save a country, they destroyed a country.
True.
And while, yes, Ultron was technically stopped, at the same time, I felt like that was the first hint of discord or what would be the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. That would lead to where we currently are with the MCU. Because, you know, spoiler alert here in the future, but leading into Infinity War, Cap and Tony Stark are not friends. Like Cap's trying to kind of send out the little you know, friendship post, be like, hey bro, you know, my bad, I was really drunk.
Yo, Tony,
I was really drunk throughout that entire movie, and I was kind of a dick to you. Sorry, you know. but so at that point, that was literally what would become the straw that broke the camel's back. I do think there's a big importance to Age of Ultron, because it's where you first see the discord. Is it the best? No. Would I watch it again? I actually would. It's one of those that I can probably say, if I was to ever do this insane mission again, I don't know if I'll ever watch all 18 all over again. Like I just did.
Okay, so we switch over to Ant-Man, which I kind of felt was probably the most split in as far as how people felt about it.
I thought Ant-Man was a much bigger gamble than Guardians of the Galaxy, to be honest with you.
Well,
Me too.
Really? I thought people knew Ant-Man more than knew Guardians.
No, they knew Ant-Man, but it was like, to me, Ant-Man felt like the Aquaman of the MCU.
I don't think you're wrong. Think of what was leading into this. We had Winter Soldier, we had Guardians, and we had an Avengers movie. And now all of a sudden we're kind of getting this like reclass story right back into New York, and it's just kind of like this little small level thing that's going to happen. Let me ask, what were your guys' opinions about it, Kev?
I guess because I went in there with no expectations because I really could care less. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great to me. I understood that they had to do backstory and stuff like that. I would have liked more action. Like I really would have liked to see him. It seemed like they spent so much time training him that you really didn't get to see him go out there and do shit. So, I mean, personally, I just wanted to see him do more in that movie. It wasn't bad. Wasn't great. I'll rewatch it for the sake of rewatching it, but...
How about as a heist movie? Just in general with that genre. Did you...
That's my point.
Did you...
That's exactly how I looked at it, though.
If it's a heist movie, then they made it way more complicated than what it had to be.
Exactly. It just looked like a very over-the-top heist movie. Almost like... shit. I'll be drawing blanks. I'm sorry. That's kind of my thing. But it was a lot. If you take a heist movie and just add everything you could possibly think of, any over-the-top, exaggerated situation, that's how I felt about Ant-Man. I didn't really get Marvel superhero from it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. I didn't get Marvel superhero from it.
Like ultimately, when you look at Deadpool, that is a I was about to say missionary, but that's not the word.
What
for
are
it.
you thinking about,
Right.
sir?
Let's think about Iron Man 3 again.
Right, exactly. But I forgot, what the fuck is the word for it?
We don't
Mercenary.
know.
Mercenary. There you go. Like, you would look at it as a mercenary movie, but it felt like a comic book movie, how over the top it was.
Of course.
With Ant-Man, it just felt like, okay, he's doing a whole lot to steal shit.
I feel like there were some dry scenes with the movie. Like, anytime Evangeline Lilly was on screen, it's not that I didn't like her. I just couldn't get over her fucking haircut. Like, it was god awful.
It clearly didn't look good.
And the thing is that I know how hot she can be because I've watched interviews with her. So it's like it just like took away. Took away from it for me. I was a big fan of Michael Douglas.
I'll say this: Ant-Man is one of those projects to where, because the comic books seem ridiculous, the premise of this movie seems ridiculous. You can really only go that comedy route. So that's why you go for a Paul Rudd to play Ant-Man. You go for an Adam McKay or Edgar Wright screenplay, because there's no way you're gonna put this in create a movie out of this character and really think we're gonna take it that serious.
Right. And the comedy.
I thought it worked.
I thought the comedy was definitely on point. I mean, Michael Pena, every time he was on screen,
was
oh my god,
Yeah, I'll give you that, yeah.
he was killing me with. Some
I don't know what movie T.I. was in, but it certainly wasn't this one. But
I would never say it was like the funniest post-credit scene with Michael Pena and Falcon. I want to say his name was
Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. There you go.
Mackie.
It's just
Papa Doc.
the way he went into telling the story, the way he told all of his stories, and after all of that, he's like, "What did he say?" He said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Damn, that whole story just you could have got straight to that." But yeah, I thought that was a dope post credit.
I thought Ant-Man, which was a gamble, proved to be successful. Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming later on this year. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed Ant-Man.
I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is actually more of a gamble than others, because it's supposed to take place before Infinity Wars.
That's why they're not there.
Right, exactly. So it's supposed to take place before it. So you're kind of sitting there, and I don't know. I think that's going to be a little bit of a gamble, but I don't think it's worst case scenario. But that would be the end of Phase 2, which was a little weird, considering that we technically only got the fifth movie of the 6 was the Avengers movie, and then Phase 2 just kind of ends and it moves into Phase 3. And this is where I really think that Marvel was just like, you know what, we have a formula now, and this is what we're going to tell our directors to do. This is the formula you should make. Just make sure you shoot the same scenes this way, and it's going to come out great. And I really think it has.
Because launching Phase 3, we got pretty much Avengers 2.5, Captain America: Civil War.
Right. It launches Phase 3
with beef. Phase 3 has beef. Lots of beef.
Phase 3
which has been the best phase so far.
Yeah,
Just
Phase
throwing that
3
out.
definitely been the best
Yeah.
one.
Just throwing that out there.
Los, when the trailer dropped for Civil War, and you get the iconic scene in the movie. I'm sorry, it is the iconic scene in the movie. I don't care if you guys think it's something different, but the battle between both groups, between the Tony Stark
definitely.
group
The Air Force
and the Cap group. When you first see it, and then you get the reveal of Spider-Man and everything that kind of comes through it, what were your thoughts on it?
I honestly thought the trailer, and all trailers should be like this. This may have been the best Marvel trailer, only because they left so much to the imagination. They left so much to be wanted. You saw what you knew was going to come. The two teams was going to battle. Allegedly, Spider-Man was going to be in this movie. Like, it was all this other stuff, and then when we got it, it was like, this is great. Like, but then when you get to the actual movie, and this really, what led into me thinking that Black Panther is my favorite out of all the MCUs. He went gangsta immediately.
Right.
He went from the Prince to Black Panther. Like, as soon as his dad died, he's like, okay. That was the last we saw T'Challa in the movie. You know what I mean? The build was perfect. The trailer, it gave you just enough, I want to see this, for you to get in there and be like, holy shit, I didn't know the rest of this was coming. So I thought the build to it was absolutely amazing.
I also love that when Black Panther is fighting Hawkeye, he goes, "We haven't met before. I'm Clint. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Let's fight."
But, bro, I am mad.
I don't care about you. Let's fight.
I think what was, I remember watching the trailer, and I was hollering. I was like, "Oh!" And they over here, and they showing Spider-Man. All of a sudden, he got Cap shield, and I'm like, "Oh my god, are they really trying to?"
I wish he had a better line though. Like, I understand that's more realistic Peter Parker from the comics, but it's just, hey everyone, like, come on, man.
No, I like it. He played the role well.
High school kid, Kev. Whose side were you on? Were you Team Iron Man or were you Team Cap?
It's funny because when I first saw the trailer, I was definitely like, okay, I'm rocking with Iron Man. Once I saw the movie, I was like, fuck Iron Man.
That bullshit.
I'm a Team Cap. It's like I understand, I get it, but nah, man, you're not finna tell me when and where I can go and how to use my gifts.
And that's really the beauty of this movie. Like, you see both sides, right? And they do their best to really play out and show you as to why both sides are right, both sides are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because, while they're able to save the world from these treacherous things that we as regular humans can't do, they're destroying shit while doing it.
Right.
And there are casualties.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and let's be real, the tension between Cap and Iron Man's been building since Avengers 1.
Yeah, since they met each other.
Oh, yeah.
Iron Man mad that Cap spent more time with Iron Man's dad than he did.
Right. Yeah. No.
That's really what it is in a nutshell. He got daddy issues.
And then when he found out the Winter Soldier killed his dad,
right?
Then it's like, and that's another thing too. Big up to Robert Downey Jr. because that was the most emotion we got out of Tony Stark. Out of everything that he went through, that was us seeing the real Tony Stark, and I thought that was just excellently executed.
Was there anybody here that is actually Team Iron Man in this? Out of curiosity, like going into the fight. Not like after watching the movie. Of course, I'm sure everybody was Team Cap, but going into the fight, was anybody here actually Team Iron Man?
No, because you kind of get what Thunderbolt Ross wanted to do.
Right.
At the same time, you can't put a leash on the Avengers because you feel like you can.
Right.
Granted, and even they will admit, like, we've lost people trying to save the world. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, when the big threat comes to us, you're not gonna do nothing.
Right. You want us to come when that big threat comes. You're gonna let us go free and do what we got to do.
Let's do what we do.
But for this, I felt, even though I believe our government would do that, I felt like they just wanted to have a way to control.
All right, come on now, let's not get political.
They just wanted to have a way to control people. Like, basically, if we're saying superheroes were a gun, they want to be able to use that gun when they want to use it, not when it needs to be used.
No, you bring up a really good point. What was something else that was pretty phenomenal? Was this the first Marvel movie where the bad guy actually won? I mean, his entire goal was to split the
create
Avengers.
this beef. Yeah,
was to create this beef. I mean, he definitely wins.
Yeah, he definitely won.
And he's still alive. By the way,
for the record, Baron Zemo is it Zemo.
Yeah, played by Daniel
he is a shit bad guy.
Yeah,
he's horrible.
But they had to figure out something. Like it couldn't just be beef.
Right.
Like there had to be a catalyst. There had to be something in between.
Right.
In between them. So that's why they put Zemo in there. But
I thought he did a great job. Because to me, I wasn't looking at him as a super villain. I was looking at him as a regular person that's yet again pissed off about something that's going on.
Right.
He just did it the smart way.
Right. So was this the first time that
I think it was.
I guess you can say that. Now, going to what Los was saying about Robert Downey Jr.'s most emotional run as Iron Man, which is true because, which leads to my favorite scene, which is fucked up too. But the fight at the airport, happens. Everybody goes separate ways. He discovers he's been wrong about his take on this thing the entire time.
Right.
Links up with Cap and Bucky. I forgot what is a video that he sees of Bucky killing his parents.
Mission Report, December 11th, 1991.
There you go. You're a geek. But it was that scene to where he goes. Cap goes. Did you know? Of course, Cap trying to be diplomatic. Well, I didn't know it was him. Fuck all that. Did you know? Right? He said, yeah. And like Lo said, you see the rage.
Yeah, you do.
Building
you do.
In Tony to the point where like, I don't give a fuck about none of this shit now. He gotta die.
Everybody can
now,
get it. Right.
Now, what goes to my favorite frame is, unfortunately, Bucky and Cap are pretty much beating Iron Man's ass.
Yeah, that scene was so dope.
It was so dope, though.
I was like, fucking him up.
Iron Man got jumped. That's fucked up.
They was kicking the shit out of Iron Man. And they were just trading the shield like, he can get these hands now. While you smacking with the shield. But you got to give it to Tony. He was holding his own.
He was.
Yeah,
He
absolutely.
was.
But it was definitely the part of the MCU where it was like emotions were really, really high.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with that film on kind of splitting the viewers.
Yeah.
Because I think up until that point, people just like watching the Avengers. Now they got to pick and choose, and still kind of got a hold to those same feelings, kind of when Infinity War starts. So I think they did a great job with that.
I actually can't wait for Infinity War
me
when
either.
they first
Me either.
meet up. And the thing is, I haven't watched any trailers. Like, I've only seen the one trailer that they had, and I have not seen anything else.
I like the cerebralness that Marvel puts into their movies.
Right.
I love it because they'll set something up and then come back to it 3 movies later that you forgot about it. You're like, oh shit, I forgot about. I love that about movies.
The best part, the reason why I brought up the first time that we actually see a Marvel villain, when obviously Infinity War split up into 2, and we could really see a drastic change between Part 1 and Part 2 when we all go see it and after we do our review. So it's one of those things where it's at this point, it's hard for me to consider the Avengers even together at this point.
Oh yeah, at this point they're already, I get what
it's
you're
like
saying.
the Avengers is like a 1980s rock group. That's
right.
They're basically Guns N' Roses at this point. You had Iron Man.
Drugs involved, sex is involved.
Right? No, seriously. I mean, drugs is involved.
Technically.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. is involved. You know, Robert Downey's playing Axl Rose, and like Cap is basically Slash. He's trying to keep the whole gang together, and everybody kind of tags along with Cap a couple times, and whatever. And Downey's just like, "Fuck it, I can fucking do this shit myself. I can team up with whoever I want to." And so that's what's going to be great, because at this point we can truly consider that the Avengers is fully split up, and from there it moves on with. The other part that's really interesting, at this point, this would actually be the last time that we actually see that core group of Avengers, because we don't, outside of seeing Thor and Hulk again and Thor Ragnarok, we don't see, I don't think we see Black Widow again.
We don't get Black Widow again until Infinity War.
Until Infinity Wars. We don't see Cap again. Until the PSA announcements in Homecoming. We definitely don't. We get Robert Downey Jr. again, obviously in Homecoming. But at this point, this is where it really feels like, you know, a divorce has really kind of happened, and it's like man, we ain't even on speaking terms right now.
Where's Fury? We need Nick Fury to
Where's Dad
to settle this beef.
Yeah, and
Why
that's the thing.
hasn't Dad come home?
I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
This is the perfect time for a motherfucker. I'm telling you.
It needs to be dropped.
Get your motherfucking shit together, cause we got aliens and shit coming down.
That's with all the motherfucking emotions.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I was just going to introduce. So obviously we moved from here forward. At this point, we had gotten weird. We had gotten militaristic, and we have talked about certain things that happen that we help out the physical side of the earth, and it's when we get introduced into the mystic arts.
Now, real quick, not cutting you. When you say weird, I think weird is truly introduced in this movie.
Really? You don't think it's introduced in Guardians?
It's weird in Guardians. Doctor Strange is fucking weird.
But it's amazing.
Weird. I call it Inception too, if you ask me.
Oh, but that's what's so great about it.
Am I tripping?
I don't have a problem.
Buildings floating
Inception
on buildings.
too.
Am I tripping?
That was an Inception.
All right, so walking into Doctor Strange, there were heavy rumors, and who I actually wanted. Joaquin Phoenix was going to play Doctor Strange, and wound up being Cumberbatched, which Benedict Cumberbatch always does a pretty good job, and walking in like they were like, okay, we're going to get weird, like totally completely with this. Los, what were your first impressions when you saw Doctor Strange?
Better question: have you seen Doctor Strange?
I've seen Doctor Strange.
Okay, good.
Now, my memory on it is a little dodgy, but this was like one of the Marvel characters that I didn't know much about, so a lot of the presentation to me was just new. So it was kind of hard for me to have any kind of connection towards the movie because my knowledge of Doctor Strange it wasn't there. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch looked like him. I thought they were spot on with the makeup and the setup.
Yeah, I would really prefer Joaquin because Joaquin Phoenix is strange. He's an odd
Come
cat.
on, he had that one.
So that means Johnny Depp
Fake.
could have paid
He
Doctor
could've.
Strange then.
He got his goatee right. I don't see why not.
No,
No, I'm sorry. No, Joaquin would have been perfect because he had that one movie, I'm Not Here, and he was just weird in that. But it was
Talk about
amazing.
method.
One thing though I did like about it was how realistic they were with him being an actual doctor because he was such a dick, and it's like you really think about it, like you're this big time doctor, like you do shit, you actually get shit going.
Right.
So it's like, I don't want to be bothered right now. Like I've been in go mode since like 4 this morning. Leave me the fuck alone. So I thought the way they used that realism in the beginning, at least, I thought that was dope.
Kev, so when you see Doctor Strange, right? The fact that the car accident in the movie, we take away a doctor's greatest tool, which is his hands, and he has to learn the mystic arts. And when he goes to what country does he go to?
Oh God,
I have Indonesia, but I know that's not right.
it's not. Oh God,
But yeah,
it's Kathmandu. He goes to
There we go. He goes to Kathmandu. He meets Chiwetel Ejiofor, who will become the villain. I want to say in Doctor Strange 2.
Maybe
That's what we think. But
At least in the Prince is something.
But the way that the movie actually plays out, can you see, if it's possible, can you see Doctor Strange being one in the forefront of the next Avengers movie, saying Cap or Iron Man or all the main players die or kind of go away with the next Avengers flick where it's the whole new squad? Is Doctor Strange strong enough to where he can be in the forefront with Black Panther? Because we know that's a leader.
Nah. And the reason being is because I don't think a lot of the super comic book heads, they know about Doctor Strange, but like Los, I didn't really know about Doctor Strange at all. And I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, that fuck with Marvel, but they may not know enough about Doctor Strange. And then I have this theory that in order for you to be like a forefront type character, you have to have some type of hand-to-hand combat.
Well, he has hand-hand. Not much, but he has hand-hand.
Not much. Yeah, probably can block a punch or something like that. But I mean, like, actually get out there fighting. We see everybody else get out there physically fighting. He's the only person that uses
magic spells and shit.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying I have this theory that you have to have that type of quality in order to be in the forefront. I think he'll always be a background character. Right. He might be like a 6-man. He could be out there with the starters, but he coming off the bench. That's how I look at Doctor Strange.
Man, that's a hell of a bench you got there. That he's like the ultimate six.
Hey,
that's a serious bench, bro.
Hey, is what it is.
James Harden.
So I say Inception too because the way that the movie actually plays out, as far as key scenes, between him training with Tilda Swinton, and that was a whole controversy in itself. But learning to become, I guess, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah, the Sorcerer Supreme. It took certain elements that I swear was taken directly from Inception.
Oh, I don't deny that. But that's just, but that was also kind of, at that point, Inception was probably the most impressive CGI movie to come out in a long time.
When did Doctor Strange, when was he created?
The original?
Yeah.
Oh, he's back. He's a 70s.
He's a 70s guy?
Yeah.
So can we say that Inception may be copied off of him?
No.
Okay.
Because
okay.
No.
Shut that down real quick.
No. Inception was that was purely for the movie movie's sake. Because like Doctor Strange is like when you
as far as the folding of the buildings,
right.
Did that come from them?
I mean, sure, kind of.
Yeah.
In some sense, more reality stuff would kick in some comic books. We ain't going to talk about that. No, Doctor Strange is like the ultimate D&D, is the ultimate Dungeons and Dragons character. If you really think about it. In the comic books, he'd be like the fires of Agamotto, and he'd do shit like that, which I was really hoping they would have done in this, but no. Get that.
They took that away.
They took that away from me.
all in all, I did enjoy Doctor Strange. I thought it was for it to be something that I knew nothing about. It at least gave you a cohesive story to where you can at least follow along.
It was pretty.
It was very beautiful to look at. Absolutely, but it was just
That's about as far as I go for me.
That's fine.
Basically for me.
Yeah.
That's fine. So we move on forward to what would wind up being
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
It was also the last sequel that Marvel Thor
Ragnarok,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the weirdness that kind of came out with Guardians 1. I feel like with this one, it feels like they went back down to earth as much as they possibly could. They were like, you know what? We want to make this a more personal story,
right?
More than anything. You mentioned sitcom, and that may be the actual right.
Well,
word.
with Guardians 1,
it's a Peter Quill story more than anything.
Guardians 2 is but Guardians 1 was much more established as, there's a bad guy, Yeah, there's things that we need to connect the other movies with, but ultimately it's a movie about getting to know the crew,
Right.
about who are the Guardians. You know what I'm saying? Now, with this being Peter Quill's story about who his father is, with Kurt Russell playing Ego, the Living Planet, who turned out to be a piece of shit at the end of the day. But
I mean, was he?
he killed his mom. Yeah, he was. He's the reason why Peter's mom's dead. Yeah.
I've known plenty of guys. Who kill
Do you
their mom.
think? Do you think they're gonna explore the fact that Peter has power now?
No, because they they took that away at the end.
I
The
fell
only-
asleep. I don't know.
Okay, great. So at the very end of the movie, Ego literally to Kurt Russell tells him, "If you kill me, you will lose that side of your."
By them
who you
killing.
are."
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So he's human, or he's Terran, totally completely at this point.
Gotcha.
Now, when I say sitcom, one of the things that Guardians 1 really does ride strong on is the fact that it's a shitload of humor, and it's good humor at that.
Oh yes.
But, for example, in Guardians 2, it opens with that crazy fight scene between that
The Guardians versus whatever that monster.
the
is.
I thought that was dope.
It was so dope.
I thought that was dope.
But it wasn't a focus on the fight. It was a focus on
Baby
Baby Groot dancing.
Baby
Well,
Groot.
Baby Groot, and then, of course, just the Guardians fighting. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I wanted Drax to do more, because Drax, as somebody who, when I went into the first one, I didn't, Batista as an actor, whatever, but he showed me that Drax is a character I can really see myself really fucking with, right? I wanted Drax to do more. You know
I get what
I'm
you're saying.
I
I
want
get
him
what
to
you're
do
saying.
way
I
more.
felt like that with both Guardian movies, though. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he's a character that fits perfectly on the comic books because it's a drawing. You can make him do whatever, but once it gets to real life, you're limited by the fact that he's a cartoon character. That's how I feel with Drax.
I mean, to be honest, it's kind of how he is in the comic books also. He doesn't have the best powers in the world. He's incredibly strong, has a warrior's spirit and warrior's talent, and he has some great fucking humor.
Because he doesn't understand of it.
Right.
A lot of things kind of just go over his head.
Peter, you need to find somebody that's just as pathetic as you are.
Thanks, buddy. And, Baby Groot. It's Baby Groot.
Right. I mean, he was a big selling point to the movie.
It was.
That's exactly why he was on the front like that.
Right.
And I also love that they, with the Guardians too, they make no mention of Thanos.
No,
There's
they
no
didn't.
mention at all of
They're
Thanos.
right.
Not in this one.
There isn't.
But you get to see this thing with Michael Rooker plays Yondu. When he's first introduced to us in the first movie, he's part of the Ravagers. We're supposed to not like him because he kidnapped Quill. Turns out we knew Quill's dad was a piece of shit, and Yondu kind of saved him.
Right.
So at the end, when Yondu is killed, and they have the Ravager's funeral, it's supposed to create that emotional balance, that tone within you, because at one point there's a character that you're supposed to hate, but then he realized the error of his own ways, and he joins the Guardians.
Did he succeed? Did he succeed for you in creating that emotion?
I feel for that to be the send off of that character, I think they succeeded.
Okay.
Definitely.
How about you, Kev?
I agree with him on that.
Because even with Quill, to be there for to be at the Ravager's funeral for Yondu, and to feel that, Ego was my dad, or my father, so to speak.
Right.
Yondu was dad.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But overall, though, I mean, I kind of wanted some more. I kind of wanted a bit more action. They spent too much time away from each other. Rocket and Groot was doing something. Peter and Gamora were doing something. Drax is with the Asian mantis on a whole different planet. I want them to be together doing shit. So for me, Guardians 2 is definitely a step down from Guardians 1.
I just think it's a different movie. It's tough for me to say that I didn't like Guardians 2. I do think Guardians 1 is a little bit better. But I thought it was such a personal story. And the thing is that it was at that point where you realize why this group is still together at this point,
Right.
because it wasn't like they were real friends going into that last fight in Guardians 1. I mean, they just kind of okay, we're going to do this together so we can save a planet. And then you would kind of, there was kind of the little off note about possibly being family, but
Right.
they could have easily said, all right, call me when the next mission comes up. but no, it felt personal. That's why I really appreciate about it. From there, is it Thor? It's Homecoming now.
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Spider-Man Homecoming. So
easily the quickest deal to be done, movie to be shot. 2 appearances already as Spider-Man with Tom Holland.
Oh, they had that in the chamber.
They
just needed to
they moved so quick and so secretly. It was like Monday. Oh, so Sony gave Spider-Man to Marvel. Friday, new trailer, Spider-Man Homecoming. Go check it out. Like, wait a minute. Where'd you shoot this?
Leading into the Spider-Man, there's Spider-Man fatigue.
Yes,
because
especially if they made Spider-Man 2.
Right. They made the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Where you have Jamie Foxx as Electro. You have Paul Giamatti as Rhino. What the fuck, man?
That was a very cringe movie.
Super cringe movie.
The only redeeming thing from that original, not the original, but from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was Emma Stone in my eyes. Like she was the only thing that was like, all right, I can fuck with this. That's about it. But
so this is going to be very morbid of me to say, but how she died in that movie was fucking hilarious.
It's only funny because you guys hear her head hit the.
Yeah, because it's like that was a long hype for it to be just a little.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
So we know she died.
That did follow the comic.
No. It's the exact same fall from the comic. I appreciate that part, but it's just the.
So
doesn't sound like a death.
Here's what I loved about Homecoming. We got so used to these grand scale things. Oh, we got to save the world. And how many save the world movies that we had from Marvel at this point that was just like, okay, what fucking world are we saving now? And they were just like, nah, man, just micromanage New York for a little bit. Micromanage from
like the world.
35th just to 4th.
Just work Queens for a little while.
You got to control the boroughs.
Just work Queens for a little bit. Let's see what happens.
It's funny because somebody mentioned that they were like, Spider-Man's out there, taking care of Queens, and Hell's Kitchen, right, is only like 8 blocks of New York, and they're like, and Daredevil's micromanaging the shit out of that fucking 8 blocks.
Daredevil has 8 blocks. Spider-Man has a whole borough to himself. Keep it there. We don't need the world. We
Luke
can
Cage
wait.
is fucking shit up in Harlem.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Jessica Jones is pretty much all over the place. So yeah.
It's just all New York.
So let's talk Keaton as the bad guy.
Well, obviously, we reviewed Desperate Measures, and we already said how great Keaton can be as a villain, mm-hmm. and he just knocks it out the fucking park. But he's not. Is he really a villain?
He's a pissed off Stark employee.
Yeah,
but
Phase 2 ultimately makes you empathize with the villains.
Yes.
Well, it starts to. Yeah.
Way more than the first phase because.
Phase 3. I said phase 3. Right?
Yeah, phase 3. Now, Michael Keaton's character, he got laid off, didn't he?
Well, what it wasn't a layoff. It was they had the rights to salvage equipment,
right?
And Stark basically said, no, you don't have the rights to salvage alien equipment because it's my fucking tower. My tower was the one that was destroyed. And I just bought the entire salvage project for the city of New York.
Now, just like
so it took away money from him. How about that?
Just like Mickey Rourke and his sudden shot to the spotlight, Michael Keaton was on a roll.
Right. So once again, Tony Stark's a bad guy here again.
Michael Keaton,
in a sense, yeah.
Birdman, Spotlight, talks of a new Beetlejuice, which I hope they do. Michael Keaton, he's on the roll at the moment. Yes. So. You take, in my opinion, outside of Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man we've ever gotten.
No, I think Tom Holland blows Tobey Maguire out of the water.
I think so as well. I think so as well. And on top of that, they make Spider-Man the way he's supposed to be in high school.
And likable.
And not just in high school, like a fucking sophomore. We got wild for him to even be grown, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when they treat this character, that's why I find it kind of weird with this whole, Sony Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man.
Right.
Versus Spider-Man. Does it make any sense?
Well, yes and no. See, Sony was just smart in the way that they bought up all that property. Because they were just like, okay, well, we're just going... Because Venom does not take place in New York. It takes place in San Francisco, and there was a reason why I was hollering when we saw it the other night, is because it's a first real time that we're away from New York with Spider-Man, with the Spider-Man verse, and that only explores further options with what they can do. Right. Because eventually, like if they find a way to pull off the Morbius movie, for example, Morbius is basically an anti-hero. Like all he wants to do is just heal himself. So it kind of sounds like something that we've already seen here already in the MCU. So for them to possibly do that, it's great. Kev, when you saw Spider-Man, what were your thoughts? Were you okay? How about this? Were you okay with the reveal of Zendaya being MJ?
I didn't have a problem with it. I had to warm up to Tom Holland being Spider-Man. Not saying that he didn't do a good job, but I like Andrew Garfield when he did it. Okay. I didn't have a problem with that. The movie wasn't bad, wasn't the best. I didn't have much expectations for it. I like that they, again, used a more grounded villain. I thought that's more realistic to me, so I thought that was cool. I liked the comedy that it played throughout there. It was a cool movie overall. I mean, I wouldn't... it's not something I'm like, oh, shit, Spider-Man's so dope, but at the same time, if I said it was bad, I'd be lying.
I will say, though, the addition of Tony Stark does give the movie that push that you actually need to be the mentor, basically be the Doc to his Marty McFly. You know what I mean? So
the Doc to the Marty McFly. I like that.
Even though there's no Back to the Future actually elements going on, but
right.
I feel as if, put it this way, remember when this whole thing first started and they were putting out shitty Spider-Man movies, right? How many times have you heard somebody say, dude, give Spider-Man back to fucking Marvel, man?
Yeah.
And then on a random Monday, we got exactly that. By that Friday, we got the trailer.
They made moves.
So,
good moves.
In your opinion, Los, with all the Spider-Men we've had, Tobey, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, where do you stand as far as Spider-Man Homecoming?
As far as accuracy to the source material, definitely Homecoming. Tom Holland, he did his thing.
How about the one you enjoyed the most?
Spider-Man 2?
I think it's tough to
stop that.
It's tough.
No, Spider-Man 2 has Doc Ock.
Yeah.
That's I'm thinking of the
Amazing
Spider-Man.
Right. Spider-Man 2.
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed Homecoming more. And the only reason I did is because, like, the one with Doc Ock, I don't know if it was the CGI or how everything kind of wrapped up. I just wasn't really feeling it.
I will say I like how the direction that they're going with this Spider-Man. Like I like how they got him young. Like if they wanted to, they can give him a 10-year deal and let him grow if they wanted to. You know, I think that's dope. They don't have to keep fishing around like they did in the past or like Batman does. But yeah,
right.
That's crazy. So where does Spider-Man go from here?
Well, it's clear. Okay, so Spider-Man Homecoming 2 comes out next year, and it's literally, according to what I've read, it's supposed to end, it's supposed to start literally minutes after Infinity War Part 2 ends. So it's pretty clear that they're going to push Spider-Man back to the forefront, which I'm okay with. Like we pretty much have had a little bit of time away with him not being the lead, but really a lot of people love Spider-Man, and you can't really blame him. He's kind of the guy that everybody wants. He's kind of the
like a Tony Stark Jr.
Yeah, he's highly underrated. You know, he's kind of the almost always underdog, and yet somehow he still figures out a way to pull it off. He's like Rudy. You know, it's if Rudy had a web slinger and the power to lift cars.
Tony Stark is his homeboy.
Right.
I'm still very
keep folks together.
Not concerned, but definitely curious as to how do you blend the Sony Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, and then you have Spider-Man in the Marvel universe, but according to the deal, he can go back and forth.
Yeah, that's supposed to be how the deal is supposed to work, and that's why, in my eyes, I think Sony should just say, okay, we're going to let you guys use Spider-Man pretty much as you want. We're going to build his universe so that when we can actually say, no, or when you guys are when we're ready to retake him over and literally just have him go through the entire universe, where he goes and maybe in the next thing he has to face like the Sinister Six, for example, or they finally figure out a way to do Kraven's Last Hunt, which is a heavily underrated story, right. And then just do all that. So if I'm Sony, honestly, I just build the universe and then eventually integrate Spider-Man into that universe.
But what about the fact that Venom, which is we now know is R-rated, we don't know about Silver and Black yet, or the Morbius movie, but Spider-Man exists within this PG-13 realm of family-friendly.
For now.
So do you take him out of that and put him into the R-rated?
Well, I don't think it's going to be. I think they're going to figure out a way to make it work. But the thing is that could it hurt? But could it hurt the others a little bit? But it could also make for a better story as well. Because a lot of times with rated R movies, they're like, okay, well, we got the rated R rating, so we want to show as much fucked up shit as we can without getting NC-17. So they always try to like push the envelope as much as they can. But what happens there is that sometimes the story falters in that process. Whereas PG-13, they say we have to really concentrate this down as much as we can.
I just want Spider-Man to cuss one time in an R-rated, any movie. Like he sees like Carnage come around, hey, fuck you, Carnage! Like I just want that
like,
one time. Hey, bitch, I want to fight you.
Man, he's gonna do like a 1960s like Robin. He's gonna be like, holy shit, Captain America!
Cheesy.
It's fucking Carnage.
What's next up? We have
so after Homecoming, it comes Thor Ragnarok.
Hands down, the redeemable Thor movie.
It's just fun,
and I missed it.
You know, you still seen Thor Ragnarok? Oh
No.
my god!
So
have you seen Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah. It's just fun, and it's like they finally recognize like what they were doing wrong this entire time. They're like, you know what? Why are we focused so much on Earth? Who cares about Earth when we have the entire fucking 9 realms that we could totally hit? And they got smart with it by introducing 2 interesting characters. One being Valkyrie, played by Tessa Thompson. She knocks it out the park. Mm-hmm. And reintroducing Hulk, and kind of gain some clarity on like what kind of happened to him, because in Civil War he's not there, which was a little weird. And nobody's like really trying to figure out. Nobody's doing their due diligence to figure out where exactly he is.
I also feel like in Civil War they would be scared shitless if Hulk didn't show up. Cause y'all can fight each other. You can't fight.
But then Hulk comes in.
You can't fight the Hulk. Kev, when you saw Thor Ragnarok, as far as the whole new direction, it's basically a comedy. And
that was my biggest issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Don't get me wrong, I liked it, but I'm saying it was a little bit too much. It felt like a really kiddie, goofy type feel after so long, and I'm like, you know what, I want some realness. Go throw your hammer in somebody's face or something like that. You know what I mean? I like the fight scenes. I thought the actors did their job. I thought the director killed it. It's just it was at times a little bit too comedy-esque to me, and I was like, nah, I need some.
Well, he did throw a hammer at somebody.
Well, I know
got
that
broken up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I was saying that as an example. I wanted to see some realness, and I got a lot of comedy, and it was good in doses. But I felt like for me it was a little bit too much.
I feel as if Thor Ragnarok had to be saved by comedy.
It definitely was saved.
Because
I will say that.
Because I've always felt that the Thor movies aren't all that great. I don't really care. I like Thor when he's with the team, but him by himself, I'm bored with your stories. Now, I saw Thor Ragnarok, I think at the drive-in.
I did at the drive-in.
And I'm all right, well, let's check it out. And I watched it. Even the opening scene, when he's talking shit to the huge devil-ish monster, and he's swinging around.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
And he's going, hold up, here we go. Wait, 1 sec. I swear I'm going to do this. There we go. And it's so subtle. And I feel like they did this because, prior to him, Hemsworth playing Thor, he does a lot of comedy roles outside of Thor. Mm-hmm. And Hemsworth has great comedic timing.
Yes.
I mean, great comedic timing.
I got to ask you, how'd you feel about Cate Blanchett as Hela?
I thought she was the shit.
Me too.
Oh, my God.
I thought she would. First of all,
that little hair shit she was doing so hard.
Shout to her for even taking on that role, because we know Cate Blanchett.
Right.
She's a thespian, Oscar-worthy actress. So for her to take on this role and kill it the way she did.
when she first moved the hair back and it got into that actual
shit was
form,
hard.
I was like,
That shit was hard.
I was like, oh shit, that is a badass looking outfit just in general.
But can we talk about Jeff Goldblum real quick?
Yes, please let's do that.
Can we run with Goldblum real quick? Which, by the way, his character is actually the brother of the Collector.
Right.
Yeah.
So
My favorite scene with him is when he's just kind of when he looks like he's kind of DJing. It just looks so. It totally looks like something that Jeff Goldblum would do. But it just looks so hilarious. And like my favorite line from it was a total Jeff Goldblum line, where he was like, "Oh, he's your half brother. Can he fight?" And Thor was like, "You take these chains off of me, and I can show you." And he's like, "Ah, cute. You're so adorable. You're like trying to fight me and whatnot." And then he just like kind of keeps going on with it. It was just, it's just so Jeff Goldblum.
leave it to Goldblum to finally make an Asgard joke I've been trying to hear for the longest time.
Asgard.
From Asgard. And we get the Planet Hulk storyline finally. You know, Hulk was banished from Earth.
Right. We get pieces of it. Right.
Pieces of it, yeah. And by the time Thor gets to this new planet where he has to fight, and of course their number one champion is the Hulk.
Right.
And the Hulk has a real kid-like, like a bitter little kid in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does. I love the Hulk because he is a little bit of a kid, and Thor realizes how to kind of play off of that.
Don't kick stuff.
Don't kick stuff. And I think my favorite line from him is when he actually tries to be polite about something, and he goes and he's like, "A friend stay." And he's like, "Friend stay," and he takes like the headboard that's just a jawbone, and he like throws it at Tessa Thompson to basically have her stay, and he's all like, "Friend stay, please." You know, it's just like
the most Hulk has ever said in a movie ever. I thought
and we need more of it.
It worked.
It does work, but it gives him that human side. Prior to Thor Ragnarok, he's a beast of a person. Like you think when Banner becomes the Hulk, he has no. I don't say that he doesn't have a brain, but he doesn't think like that. He thinks
No, he's instinctual.
he thinks destruction. That's how he moves.
Right.
So for him to pretty much get a character arc,
Good
the
understand.
Hulk as the Hulk, not Banner, but as the Hulk, get
Yeah,
a whole
that's dope.
character arc. I thought it was so dope. And then Tessa Thompson,
Man, she is gorgeous.
gorgeous. Oh my god.
When she put on the Valkyrie outfit, I was like, man, I kind of want to hit on you, but I feel like I get my ass kicked the entire time.
Yeah.
But she is gorgeous. And just and so funny, like when they introduced her and she's like coming off the ship, and she's like trying to do like this badass thing, but she's so drunk that she like falls off the ramp.
Also in Thor Ragnarok, we finally say goodbye to Odin, played by Anthony Hopkins, who finally
Right.
dies for real this time. Not Loki fucking with people, but he actually dies. And that was just a really emotional moment because, we learned that the creed is, even though Asgard is the home, Asgard isn't that planet you're on. Asgard is just the people that you're with.
Right.
That represents a certain thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? So toward the end, when Asgard is destroyed, and they all kind of they rescue people onto the to the ship, which is fucked up too because toward the end you see the other ship behind them, which is clearly Thanos.
Oh God, yes.
Right? But you learn that it's about the people. It's not about wherever you go. That's home. You know what I'm saying? And then of course Thor loses his eye, which is really fucked up, but also
Right.
dope at the same time.
It's what's really great about the film. It felt like I'll put it to you this way: if they never make another Thor, I'm really glad they concluded it with that.
Yeah.
It's pretty special in my eyes.
How does you feel about the giant dog?
I wanted more of that.
Of the dog?
Yeah.
I did too.
I wanted more because I wanted to see how Kate, how she used that dog to help her out. I wanted to see more of it. I felt like even though it was a great epic scene towards the end, I felt like they could have had her show just how badass she was just a little bit more. I mean, you knew, but just have her really go out there and be like, nah, I run this shit. I wanted to see that.
Do you guys think she's dead?
No.
I don't think she's dead at
I
all.
don't think she's dead either.
I actually have a theory. And
I think she's gonna come back up in Infinity War.
Man, okay, so talking about that, she stated that she's the goddess of death, and she states that a couple of times. Now,
And that's what the arc is with Thanos.
yes, thank you. Somebody actually knows the arc.
Yeah,
So the arc with Thanos and the original comic book is that Death is a real character, like an actual comic book character, and he literally is just trying to win her love. So
You feel like if you destroy half of the universe, she'll be with him.
see, we need Kev more.
Nerds.
I am no help.
But all in all, Thor Ragnarok, fucking
Great
fantastic. I'll talk about a way to put Thor back into people's good graces.
Yeah.
And
the
then
final origin
we
story.
get to the origin story that we've been wanting to talk about since. Come on, Los, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Now you can talk about it.
Now I can talk about
Now
it.
you can talk about it. The most successful comic, not MCU, not DCU, comic book movie ever.
Isn't DCEU?
That's what I was thinking in my head.
Oh,
Isn't
who
DCEU?
cares? They fucking suck. Anyway, the most successful comic book movie ever. Black Panther, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, at this point, are we not at the end of Phase 3?
This-
Black Panther?
This is a,
So
Still
Infinity.
more on phase 3.
Well, technically, yeah, sure. I think Infinity War Part 1 is like the end of it. But it doesn't matter. It could be Infinity War Part 2. It doesn't matter. But yeah, it's at this point we've reached the pinnacle. We're at the finish line, and it's Black Panther. And what a way to really feel a culture in
Yes.
itself.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important part of this movie, because we've mentioned it in the past of how great this movie is, because it establishes a culture that anybody can really relate to. You know, what's it actually feel like to fight for your homeland, and to actually feel like you have this epic and beautiful history that comes with it. I'm just going to ask your guys' opinion.
I love that Wakanda is practically a character in itself.
Yes.
You know, because we've heard about it. We've heard about this place for so many movies now, and then vibranium, where it comes from. Da, da, da. So when we get that scene when T'Challa is flying back home, and then all of a sudden it kind of breaks that little like shield they have, and then it reveals Wakanda in its entirety. It was a beautiful shot. Wakanda is its own character,
yeah, I agree with you with that.
It's like Black Tokyo.
like Black Tokyo.
Like
A few more mountains. Yeah.
A few more mountains.
Yeah.
Like Tokyo.
Go ahead.
All right, so I got to start with this. The introduction to one of my favorite actors, Michael B. Jordan, as Killmonger, and his entire backstory, and how sad really it is. I mean, it is a little bit sad to kind of figure out, to kind of find out, because he is Wakanda. He is absolutely Wakandan. He has its blood, and he can claim birthright, no problem whatsoever. His portrayal and how real that felt. How did it affect? I'm just going to go around the table here. How did it affect each of you here, Los?
It was probably the most relatable MCU character, MCU villain that they had, and that's why I made the comment earlier about Phase 3, like actually having the villains be justified and not just be evil for the fuck of it. And the actual execution of all of that was the best I've seen from Marvel, at least. I remember at one point, I think, when I was just speaking out of excitement, I was like, oh yeah, definitely, this is the absolute best comic book villain, but not. Still ain't nothing touching Heath. But I felt like when he finally was able to get to Wakanda, when he was able to take the throne, and it wasn't like, there's a good chance T'Challa might win. He was getting his ass kicked the entire time.
Threw his ass off a mountain.
You know what I'm saying?
Off a mountain.
And it just established him as this is the one dude to not fuck with, especially when you see how untouchable T'Challa was from Captain America Civil War throughout Black Panther, leading up to Killmonger coming in. And he had to be that dominant, because if he wasn't, you probably wouldn't have felt like, damn, can Black Panther win this? Like you wouldn't have felt that
He
suspense.
was able to cast that doubt.
Exactly.
He was like, "Damn, I don't know."
And he still went out on his own merit.
Yeah.
Kev, how about you?
A lot of the same way that Los felt. It was relatable, especially being a black man. It's definitely relatable. A lot of stuff Killmonger was talking about, but overall, I thought the film did what it was supposed to do, and then some. I have no complaints with that film whatsoever.
Jay?
With me, Killmonger, outside of Loki, because when you fell for Loki's really just, a son that wanted his dad's love. After we think about it, to be accepted, I guess. Yeah. But Killmonger was a character who, once it's shown to you what he went through, what his plans are, what he believes in, it's like, dude, I feel you on this. The way you're going about is kind of fucked up, but I feel you on this. You know what I'm saying? He's a complicated character, but he's practically justified to doing what he does.
So this is going to be my only thing that I think is a little funny in it. If you think about the rules of the conflict that they had, they stated that the only way that a person wins is if the other person submits,
right,
or the other person dies, right, and you cannot have outside help. I mean, T'Challa lives, but then he kind of gets outside help to kind of get back to face off Killmonger, and I felt like that was super MCU. But I'm like, hold on a second. I'm sorry, but Killmonger can do whatever he wants. He won this fair and square. T'Challa is breaking the rules right now.
So Killmonger won that particular battle. Killmonger won the actual challenge for the throne. Yeah, fair and square. He did win that. But what he does after that, it's fucked up. So we need somebody to kind of overthrow the king, if you will.
But was it such a bad message, what he was stating? Because his message was basically stating that other he did say people are oppressed out there, and we can use the technology that Wakanda has to get back to these people. Now, let me be fair. He is talking about inciting riots in itself because in general, when it was first introduced was the 1991 LA riots, obviously. And however way everybody feels about that, there's a lot of good that came out of the 91 riots, but at the same time, there's still a lot of animosity. There's still a lot of hidden animosity there. Do you think if Killmonger his plan would have actually came into motion, that it would have succeeded in the fashion that you think it would have?
With the technology of Wakanda, probably so.
Do you think that it would have been better off in doing so, though?
He ultimately, Killmonger would have turned into his own enemy. He would have turned into exactly what he was fighting against, just on the other side. But Killmonger felt like he was owed that at the same time. So it's like,
because when his father was pretty much killed, he was left to fend for himself. He wasn't. I don't even think he was known back in Wakanda as this particular as the brother of the original Black Panther, T'Challa's father. Mm-hmm. His nephew, you didn't even bring your nephew back with you. So he goes on for years and years and years with this burden on him to where he doesn't feel accepted. He doesn't feel the love. So by the time he gets to the point to where he's gonna go to Wakanda, overthrow T'Challa, beat him at the battle, he's venting for sure, but it's justified because he hasn't felt no kind of sense of love, family, nothing. Since his pops got killed off. And then he also feels the betrayal that T'Challa's father, put on his pops. Because when T'Challa goes to go see his father in the, what do they call it? Where all the other Black Panthers are?
The spiritual realm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right.
What fucked me up a lot is that while he goes to see his father in this, atmosphere, in this spiritual, setup, he can only go. Killmonger can only go see his father in that apartment.
I think that's just a subcontract of each individual person's mind.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Let's say if Shuri goes to that place, I'm pretty sure hers are probably different from theirs too. So I think that's what that was.
But it's effective because your memory of your father is this spot in Oakland versus T'Challa who goes see his father in the highest of heavens in the clouds.
Right.
So by the time he makes it to Wakanda, kills off Claw. which I totally didn't see coming.
Me either.
I'm like, oh shit, okay, well, Claw's dead, but he goes off to Wakanda just to spark some shit, and he knew for a fact the way he breached the country with Claw's body. Oh my god, that shit was dope.
It was dope.
That shit was dope.
Other things I just loved about it, the technology.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Do you think Shuri's gonna pretty much replace Tony in regards to all the inventions and whatnot for Infinity War?
So that could be a possible connection, but
I say from what I've heard, she's supposed to.
in some ways, yeah, it could. You know what would be interesting to see is if she actually becomes Iron Man. I'll say why, because again, comic book nerd here, but you know, obviously there's another Spider-Man that's out there, Miles Morales.
Yeah, they have a black Iron Man.
Of course, and there's a
Riri
black,
Williams.
yeah, and she's known as
yeah.
Iron Heart. So it could be one of those things where, yes, if what could potentially happen of all the original MCU characters' contracts expire, and they decide not to continue forward with that, then yeah, absolutely, it could be that she turns kind of into a new Iron Man in some fashion, in some way, shape or form. But back to the technology of it, was it how? What sort of impact did it have for you guys to kind of see it where it has the flair and the beauty of the Wakanda and African culture in that sense, and the beautifulness of the people there, and how do you think it's going to impact the MCU moving forward?
The fact that they show Wakanda as probably one of the main battle zones in Infinity War lets me know that Black Panther will be 100% front and center for the next few movies coming up. Because even though the character has what the character has, they don't forget Black Panther is officially the most successful movie that you fucking have.
Right.
So just like with Wonder Woman in DC, they got her at the forefront. Mm-hmm. Black Panther will be at the forefront. No problem at all. Yeah. Matter of fact, most of the trailers, 60% of it is in Wakanda.
Right. The final battle.
The final battle goes down in Wakanda.
We know that the final battle happens in Wakanda.
I agree. I agree. I mean, we talked so much about Black Panther before. We know Black Panther's shit.
Right. Any final thoughts on Black Panther? Because I feel like because I want to make sure that you know it is also the last movie of the MCU as we know it from now. Because moving forward after Infinity Wars, we in some senses we don't really know where it's going to go from here. So any final thoughts on Black Panther that you guys have?
Great fucking movie.
Ultimately, yeah.
$1 billion business.
It's a fucking amazing movie. I really, really fucking loved it.
So now we're at the anticipation of Infinity War.
At this point, we would be at the anticipation of Infinity War, yeah. This has been a lot of fun with the show. We're going to wrap things up here, and I kind of want to see where some predictions that people have, not in either in Infinity Wars or where the MCU is going to go after Infinity Wars. We'll just go around the table. Los, which one would you rather do?
With actually what you just said, with this being the end of the MCU, they're obviously going to start introducing more Marvel characters because we know that everyone's timeline continues on, through and through.
Contracts are up.
So, exactly. Robert Downey Jr. ain't coming back. We already killed Logan. I know he's not MCU, but this is basically what I'm getting at. Everyone is reaching that end of their time. And really, we're going to get to the point where we don't want to see it anymore. We want to see it kind of grow more. We want to see what else they got in the bag, what else they can get done. Reaching in the bag and grabbing Ant-Man, reaching in the bag and grabbing Guardians of the Galaxy, that shows that they can at least make something great out of what's more so unknown to the non-traditional comic book fan. So I would love to see them, introduce the Miles Morales, or even go as deep as Ultimate Spider-Man. I would love to see them go more to Storm's storyline and how important she is to Black Panther. Like, I want to see all of that shit. So I feel like the MCU is going to end, and they're going to just jump into something completely different but related.
I agree a lot with what you said. I think the good thing about Marvel is there's so many different timelines with these characters that they can change stuff up, put new stuff in. I personally, I know it'd be hard to do. I don't know how they would do it, but I wouldn't mind seeing Avengers and the X-Men be in the same universe. Not necessarily the X-Men,
I think it's coming too.
Not necessarily the X-Men, but I would like there to be mention of mutants out there in the same universe as Avengers. I would love that.
Right, which was a little unfortunate because when in Age of Ultron, they basically took 2 X-Men characters and put it in there.
Yeah.
And they were like, these miracles. And I'm like, oh, it just doesn't sound
So
right.
you can't even say mutants?
You can't even say mutants?
For me, I'm going to say I agree with you guys as well. I have a strong belief that we'll get Fantastic Four in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You need to go ahead and hang that head up.
No, they won't give it up. It's coming.
Nah, I think if Marvel can get their hands on it, it can be good. But only if Marvel, you cast me as the Thing. That's Kevin Shaw. Cast me as the Thing. There we go.
Cool, no problem.
I can be the Blob.
But personally, instead of me looking forward to what could possibly come next, I know Captain Marvel's coming. Inhumans, I guess it's a TV show now. So
Yeah, which is
I think
trash.
it's already canceled.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
they already canceled. The first season was
I don't
not
know
the
what to
business.
look forward to. All I can say is I've fucking enjoyed the ride getting there.
I will agree with you on that.
I have thoroughly enjoyed the ride getting here. Like to the point to where when we go see the movie today,
If somebody was to bring me a collection of all 18 movies and said, you have to watch these in order to get here, I'd be like, all right, cool, let's do it.
let's do it.
Right.
Because
Which is exactly what
some
Jay
are
and I
great,
just did.
some are great, some are okay, some are bad. But no matter what you do, you appreciate the cohesiveness of what they've done for 18 movies straight.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And some aren't directly related, some are 100% directly related. But I've enjoyed the ride.
I have
That's
too.
what I can say. I've enjoyed the ride.
For me, predictions wise, and I'm actually going to be a little bit specific here. I know for a fact that they're definitely going to push Black Panther. I know that they're definitely going to push Spider-Man. Huge, especially with that Sony deal. Like that's only going to open up more things. I also think that they're going to push Captain Marvel pretty hard as well, because there's the potential of Civil War II, for example.
Civil War II is the potential of the Kree storyline. I think they're going to push
Kree.
Captain Marvel too.
Yeah, I think Kree, and I think
they're gonna push that.
Skrull as well. Now, but here's how I think Phase 4 winds up happening. I think of all the actors that contracts are expiring, I think Robert Downey Jr. signs on for one more Iron Man to officially pass the baton, and because it'd be fun to see Robert Downey in Wakanda, have something there.
Right.
We still got to get a whole nother character out of Bucky.
Right. I think of course Bucky takes on the mantle of Captain America, or Falcon. It could be one of those two. No,
Or what about White Wolf?
no. I think it's definitely going to be Captain America
It'll be
for
Cap.
either one of those two. I do think, and this is the most surprising one, I do think Mark Ruffalo signs on to be part of one more. And here's my theory on it. I think they're going to play out. Guardians 3, and everything's going to be super weird. Like they're going to introduce characters nobody's ever heard of, like Moon Knight. And trust me, that would just be really interesting.
It would. It really would.
You think Split is good? Just read Moon Knight.
Okay.
But I think what winds up happening is because they did a Planet Hulk storyline, that they figure out a way to work in Avengers with the introduction of X-Men into this, facing off against World War Hulk.
Wow.
With Hulk being the actual bad guy, fucking everything up on Earth. And with a cohesive Bruce Banner inside Hulk being okay with this. How they set that up, I'm not sure. But if I'm Marvel, that's the direction I would go for the next Avengers.
Marvel, cut the check, damn it.
Cut the check.
And sign me for the idea. I got it here.
Well, that is the show.
It's our longest show that we've ever done.
Longest fucking show ever. But it's fun. I'm glad we got our guys in here today to talk movies with us, even though Los hasn't seen 4 or 5 Marvel movies, not a big deal.
I said that going into this. Y'all said you wanted the noise.
Yeah, so
y'all could have had the Kev.
We can't have the noise. We can't have half the noise. But we want to thank the fellas from the Noize, our fam, Hollywood Kev, Big Los. Kev, let people know where they can find you.
On Twitter, _Hollywood Kev. On Instagram, Hollywood Kev _
Big Los.
Yeah.
Big Los IG on IG. You can also follow at the Noize Podcast on the Big Three: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Yeah, it's the easiest way to find me.
Dirty Neff. Danger Neff.
Dirty Neff.
That sounds horrible. Okay.
Woo, that was bad.
Old Dirty Neff.
Old Dirty Neff here. You can follow me on Instagram at David Neff Transforms. I am part of the wonderful podcast, part of the Beat Network family, Back to the Classics. Tomorrow is the NFL Draft. I will be writing my retirement speech as I write out my first and second round picks.
Does it go, dear NFL?
Patriots.
Fuck you.
Yeah, well,
No?
I ain't gonna say anything. And so I'll be covering the NFL Draft through draftdeck.com. You're more than welcome to follow and argue with me on why I think my picks are right and you're wrong. And trust me, you will be wrong.
Period.
But once again, follow me here at Back to the Classics, Beat Network Online. The review for Super Troopers 2 is out. We will be doing a review on Infinity War that will be taped. Mm-hmm. So you will actually get to see what the hell we look like instead of just a picture. And Jay, my partner in crime.
On all the social medias, simply at I am Jay Alonzo. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. You talk to me, I'll talk back. The Back to the Classics Instagram page at BTTC Podcast is up and running. Jump on in, follow us. Get insight on all the new shows, man. Of course, the Back to the Classics Movie Talk group on Facebook. Jump on that, join the conversation. We'd love to have you. Besides that, man, we'll be back next week with a whole another one. Go and see Avengers. Go and see Avengers Infinity War this weekend, damn it. Okay? It's been 10 years, too long. A great wrap up. Once again, gotta thank the boys from Noize. I'm gonna keep on saying it low, so I don't give a fuck what you say. The boys from the Noize. Rock with us. Shout out to the whole Beat Network family. Shout out to the whole iHeartRadio family. We'll be back next week. Peace.